The sky blazed like blood. Giant fireballs streaked down onto the ruined city, where thick smoke obscured the light amidst the devastation. Hada, an unbelievably unlucky young man, stood frozen before a high-level field monster. It was a deadly, seductive woman with sharp horns on her head and a leather whip in hand, exuding a charm that was both captivating and terrifying. Unfortunately, Hada had no mind to appreciate that beauty. His face turned pale, sweat pouring down like a shower, heart pounding as he thought, "The story has just started and I'm already about to die," jumping straight to the credits. To add a little background, it all started when Hada turned 21. At that time, he was suddenly sucked into a strange virtual space. In front of him, a login screen appeared, shimmering with options to select race and class. That year, a game called Earth's Will invaded reality, bringing monsters and countless NPCs from different factions flooding into the human world. Luckily, he was transformed into a player granted login rights, allowed to choose race and class, starting as a newbie with combat abilities against monsters. But Hada, like everyone else, eagerly rushed to pick his race and class full of hope. Yet he waited and waited with no response from the system. His face twisted, sweat streaming down his forehead. Anxiety rising, he frantically pressed the control panel repeatedly, but to no avail. An ordinary college student, nothing more normal than that, suddenly faced an abnormal situation at a life-or-death moment. A cold, crackling sound rang out the system before Hada shattered like glass. A cold, mechanical voice echoed, "Character creation failed," ejecting from the virtual space. The space around him began to dissolve like a blurred painting. Hada panicked, sweat pouring, shouting, "What, don't kick me out!" A freezing wind blew, scattering the paper aimlessly, highlighting his loneliness and helplessness. Hada stood stunned, his complexion pale as if all the color had drained from his body. After the incident, Hada discovered he couldn't equip any items. He held a dry branch trying to fight monsters, but the system coldly notified, "You cannot equip items." No matter how many push-ups he did, 19,999 times, his experience didn't increase. He couldn't level up or open the attribute panel. No way. An ordinary man like him couldn't survive in this dangerous game world. Despair rising, Hada stood amid a blizzard, the biting cold wind cutting flesh, the pale street lamp light shining on him as if to etch in the pain. He screamed in despair. "No!" Suddenly, a mocking laugh came from somewhere with a sarcastic voice. "So pitiful to die still as a virgin male." Hada froze, tears stopped falling, mumbling, "What an old joke." His emotions shifted 360 degrees. His face brightened with optimism, resigned to accepting the situation. He thought he had to find a safe place to hide first, then slowly figure out how to survive. Hada opened the system to check his backpack. Fortunately, it wasn't stuck, though it only contained a few meager newbie potions. He muttered, "For now, just head to a safe zone and team up with nearby players." Lost in thought, Hada didn't notice the sky behind him changing. Under the blazing red sunset, clouds swirled together into a terrifying energy vortex. He slowly turned around. Suddenly, a purple lightning bolt struck the city, creating a shockwave that shattered rocks and caused buildings to collapse with a thunderous roar. The scene shifted to a distant building from the lightning strike where a man's silhouette stood tall. He whispered in a low voice, "The apocalypse has finally arrived." The dust cleared to reveal a mysterious figure surrounded by a dark red mystical aura. Lightning crackled around, radiating a terrifying aura. Hada crouched behind a rock, his face showing disbelief and astonishment. He muttered, "A field boss." The dark red aura surrounding the monster faded to reveal a seductive woman with long, flowing purple hair and sharp horns on her head. She was Tien Vuong Bio, the S-level demon tribe leader, level 97. When the aura completely vanished, she smiled slightly, her eyes scanning around with amusement. "Ah, so this is the place." In the prophetic dream, this was where Lord Vuong would descend. Hada still crouched behind the rock, momentarily terrified by Bio's dark red aura. He muttered, "An S-level monster, how could it be like this?" But as soon as his eyes met her beauty, his mood turned 180 degrees. His mouth slightly opened, eyes brightened even secretly, raising his phone to snap a few pictures, thinking to himself, time travel and meeting a girlfriend like this is totally worth it. Bio looked like a stranger visiting Earth for the first time, glancing left and right with a vague expression. Her lost demeanor and finger lightly touching her lips gave off an irresistible charm. Suddenly, Bio's face lit up. She exclaimed, "Ah, I recognize it. This is the place." Her eyes flashed. She lightly licked her hand and pulled out a piece of paper from her watermelon bag. On it was a drawing of the great demon lord she was searching for, though the sketch was so bad it was barely recognizable. Yet Bio seemed excited, her eyes sparkling, her heart flying everywhere. I'm here waiting for the great demon lord's arrival. So I drew the great demon lord who appeared in the prophetic dream. She even added excitedly, such a handsome face. The space around her suddenly turned pink with sparkling hearts fluttering around. Bio hugged the paper tightly, hopping on the spot, shouting, great demon lord, I really can't wait to meet you anymore. But then she stopped her gaze, flickering past the players preparing their weapons around her. Bio frowned, her voice cold. These troublesome people are just a bit of a disturbance to the scenery. In contrast to her calm demeanor, those around her trembled their faces, revealing fear at the mysterious situation unfolding. Monster! Monster! A panicked player exclaimed with a trembling voice. How is this possible? Already facing a boss at the start, this is really bad luck. Bio only smiled faintly, her eyes sharp. She raised her hand and gently activated Absolute Domain Skill Level 27. In the blink of an eye, a brilliant purple magic circle appeared at her feet. Then a purple lightning bolt struck down, flinging the surrounding people away. They exploded mid-air, turning into a shower of dark red blood. That skill, with its destructive power, instantly wiped out all creatures within range who were below level M. Hada hid behind a rock, witnessing the horrifying scene, his eyes wide mouth agape, his whole body stiff and trembling, unable to believe what he saw. After the massacre, Bio smiled with satisfaction. That's more like it, great demon lord's descent. How could there be no tragedy? Exhausted, Hada slid down the rock, covering his mouth to stifle any sound, silently pledging to run away immediately. But unlucky for him, Bio had already noticed him. She tilted her head, eyes scrutinizing toward the rock. Who's there? Yet still survived the earlier attack. Feeling death-close limbs weak, though terrified, Hada secretly raised his phone, trying to capture his last image. Suddenly, a blazing yellow lightning bolt shot toward Hada, making him flinch. The lightning, moving at a dizzying speed with terrifying power, grazed him, leaving a jagged trail as it headed straight for Bio. She shifted from confusion to panic. Thanks to quick reflexes, Bio leapt up to dodge the fatal strike, landing safely on the ground. She gritted her teeth, speaking through clenched jaws with anger. Roland. Following Bio's gaze to a distant utility pole, a figure in black stood tall there. Cold and arrogant demeanor. He spoke in a low voice. Bio, you're still as irritable as ever. Bio clenched her teeth, eyes blazing as she retorted, Someone who blew up the whole street at the start like you has the nerve to lecture me. The camera switched to reveal the black-clad figure's face. Clearly it was Roland, a man with golden hair and sharp blue eyes exuding irresistible handsomeness. At level 101, Roland is the Moscow God Marshal, humanity's strongest warrior, known as the Hope of Humanity. He smiled teasingly. Don't be so fierce, Bio. Furious, Bio pointed at Roland and shouted, What are you doing here? Roland maintained a nonchalant expression, replying, Of course I'm here to take down the newborn demon lord. He stroked his chin thoughtfully for a moment, then added, Though the prophecy gave me the image, this might not actually be the place. Suddenly his gaze caught an anchor point in his memory. Next to it was a fresh corpse left by Bio's recent skill. He paused, murmuring, this is the place. Hearing Roland say this, Bio flew into a rage. She transformed into a demon form, drew out a black whip, and gathered a terrifying power around her. She roared, I absolutely won't allow you to touch the great demon lord. With that, she leapt up to the top of the utility pole where Roland stood, swinging her whip with devastating force. Roland took a defensive stance, calmly countering the relentless whip strikes. Bio growled in fury. While Roland kept a mocking smile, he looked up at her. Now, Bio gathers all her strength to unleash a deadly whip strike strong enough to accidentally send the demon lord's portrait flying out. Although her attack dealt tremendous damage, the level difference made it easy for Roland to dodge. He began to counterattack. Roland raised his hand to summon a glowing magic circle. From it, he drew out a blazing golden sword, the Holy Silverthorn T85 grade. With a slight curl of his lips, Roland smiled excitedly, ready to fight. Dust swirled thickly as rocks shattered and scattered amid the fierce battle of the two figures. Far behind a rock, Hada curled up, his face pale as if lifeless, muttering, Who am I? Where is this? I'm so scared. The rising fear nearly made him cry. His whole body trembled as if every color had been drained from him. On the battlefield after intense combat, Bio had lost more than half her health bar with only a fragile amount of strength left. Unlike her earlier composure, she now looked haggard, but her eyes still burned fiercely. She hugged her trembling body and shouted, "Do you think you can defeat me like this? Thinking of the eternal realm where I will meet the demon lord." The power inside her suddenly exploded. Her original alluring form vanished, replaced by a muscular, powerful body. She screamed loudly, "Just thinking about meeting the demon lord fills me with strength." The system immediately issued a warning: leader biohealth remaining 10%, entering phase 2 attack power increased by 20%, cannot be controlled. She lunged forward, then jumped powerfully, leaving a swirling wind circle behind. In the blink of an eye, she rushed before Roland, raising her whip high to strike a critical blow. Roland began to worry. A bead of sweat trickled down his forehead as he gritted his teeth, thinking, "Crazy woman, if she hits me, I'm done for." He quickly reached into his pocket, pulled out an item, and thought, "This is the only way." When Bio was just inches from him, Roland suddenly held out a piece of paper. The moment Bio saw the paper, she immediately spun 180 degrees. Her fierce expression softened back to elegance, her eyes glued to the paper as she exclaimed, This is the Demon Lord, Mama!" She was completely mesmerized by the Demon Lord's portrait. The portrait had flown out of her during the fight, and Roland had picked it up. Taking advantage of her distraction, a cold gleam flashed in Roland's eyes. He delivered a straight kick to Bio's face, distorting her features and sending her flying far away. Roland's powerful kick hurled Bio right in front of the rock where Hada was hiding. Bio's face hit the ground painfully. She sat up. Meanwhile, Hada was frozen stiff by the rock, so terrified his soul seemed to vanish. "Demon Lord!" Bio's scream pierced the air. The Demon Lord's portrait, after being dragged on the ground when she was kicked away, was torn at the face part. Bio trembled, clutching the torn paper tightly, her voice full of resentment. "How shameless of the divine official to play this trick, exploiting my love for the Demon Lord and even ruining the Demon Lord's face." She jumped to her feet, her aura exploding to the max. The air around turned fiery red like flames of rage. Bio shouted, "The face of the Demon Lord!" Suddenly her eyes caught Hada cowering behind the rock. Hada was terrified beyond words, looking 10 years older, sweat pouring like a stream, feeling death was near. But completely contrary to Hada's thoughts, Bio suddenly brightened, her eyes sparkling as she clasped her hands before her chest and cried out, "Ah, it's the face of the Demon Lord! Even if it looks like this, I can recognize it. Finally, the day I've waited for has come." Before she finished, from afar, Roland unleashed a sharp, slashing skill. Caught off guard, Bio was torn in two by the sword blood splattering all over Hada's face. Hada pressed his lips together, his face pale as if his soul had fled. After defeating Bio, Roland stepped forward to check and muttered, "It's done." Hada was now foaming at the mouth, sitting dazed behind the rock. Roland hadn't noticed yet and kept saying, "No wonder you're the 7th heavenly king of the demon clan, yet you pushed yourself to such danger." He glanced at his health bar now, just a tiny dot, then raised his hand to set up a formation, his voice full of calculation. "No problem, just need to set this trap." Roland's expression darkened, a glint of cunning and amusement in his eyes as he waited for Demon Lord Dang Lam to step into the trap so he could kill him. If it were a low-level Demon Lord, it wouldn't be an issue. He laughed aloud with pride, but when he turned back, Roland suddenly froze. Hada was still sitting there, foaming at the mouth, his face deathly pale. Roland panicked, his expression as pale and shocked as Hada's earlier, his soul seeming to flee. When did he start stammering, "Mama ma Vongdang Lam," and why is he silently standing behind me? Roland quickly activated his level 23 sensory skill, but the system notified failure. Without hesitation, he upgraded the skill to level 39 and activated it again, eyes tense, waiting for the result. The sensing system finally succeeded. The Demon King's figure clearly appeared on Hada's body. The announcement came coldly: rank undetermined, infinite health, and unprobable status title World Ender. Roland looked at Hada, curled up, unable to believe his own eyes. 4-digit rank. How is that possible? He was terrified beyond words, his face twisted, sweat pouring like a shower. In his mind, Roland spun, "Even if I bleed and fight, I can't win, especially now that I'm out of blood." He stood frozen, imagining a terrible conspiracy. Could the Demon King have planned this from the start, sending subordinates to solo me until I bled out? then taking my head without breaking a sweat. How treacherous, cunning, and ruthless is this demon king. Glorious memories flashed through Roland's mind like a film. A voice echoed from the past. Roland, your mission is to guide other players to grow to defeat the Demon King and save the world. You are humanity's hope. But now, Roland no longer had that radiant, handsome aura. He looked like a dumb fool, mumbling, "Ah, just retreat then." Lost in thought, he suddenly startled as Hada slowly stood up. Panicked Roland hastily took a defensive stance, thinking his life was about to end. Hada's face was as cold as ice as he wiped the blood off Roland's face, standing there drenched in sweat, heart pounding. He raised his hand to condense something. In Roland's mind, the image of Hada transforming into a fierce demon king appeared, growling, "Foolish humans, how dare you injure my subordinate?" Roland trembled, eyes wide, mouth agape, thinking the world was about to be destroyed. But unexpectedly, what appeared in Hada's hand was just a rookie healing potion. He scratched his head awkwardly and handed the potion to Roland, whose face twisted in surprise and amusement full of question marks. Hada shyly said, "Your blood is depleted, but this is all I have. If you don't mind, please drink it." It turned out Hada had no idea he was called the Demon King. The scene shifted to a towering castle surrounded by sturdy walls, apparently the safe zone Hada was aiming for. The fusion area between Earth and the game world had reached 30%. The surface of the human planet on Earth had successfully awakened as players starting the war against the monsters. Low-level players continuously fought to hone their strength with each battle. In the city sky, a floating blue triangle emitted a deep voice, "We just need to continue following the plan." A man nodded and replied, "Very good. Helping players grow is the NPC's mission." As they looked at the ruined city, he asked the young man behind them, "How's it going at Shenyu Pass, Roland?" The young man checked the system board and responded, "We've killed the leader-level monsters guarding the Demon King's spawn." He stared at the control panel and continued, "Next, we just need to kill the Demon King. With the diaper in place, we can win this battle without much fighting." Entrusting this to Lord Roland means no worries. The man smiled admiringly, as expected of Roland coming up with such a clever and smooth plan, truly worthy of the title, Humanity's Hope. But neither knew that on the other side, Roland was sinking into despair, thinking he was about to die. Hada the Demon King, unaware of his title, still stood there innocently offering a healing potion to Roland. Roland, blood depleted and facing the powerful Demon King, couldn't help but tremble. Seeing him frozen, Hada spoke up, "Aren't you going to drink it?" Roland looked at the potion with suspicion, wondering what this was all about. He carefully examined the potion in Hada's hand, his heart pounding. "Surely this is poison given to me to avenge his subordinate." Roland broke out in cold sweat, imagining 749 different death scenarios. He pictured Hada transforming into a cruel giant, roaring with pride, thrashing and dying in agony, while Roland, small and trembling, could only mutter, "Truly a Demon King." Still, if he refused to drink, he would surely be killed immediately. Looking at the potion, Roland's hand shook as he hesitated whether to drink or not. Suddenly, Roland erupted with power, activating a series of enhancement skills. Poison resistance to level 8, life force enhancement to level 11, magic defense to level 9, suppression to level 10, and all attribute boosts to level 10. Not stopping there, he also pushed advanced luck enhancement to level 14. Roland thought to himself that pretending not to know might still give him a chance to survive. He had enhanced all the necessary skills to increase his survival chances if the potion was poison. With eyes full of determination, Roland decisively snatched the potion from Hada's hand and downed it in one gulp. Hada stood there stunned, watching Roland drink, and then was surprised to realize nothing happened. His blood increased slightly. He was speechless, looking at the potion and muttering, "So it's just a normal novice blood potion." Hada thought Roland was mocking him naively and replied apologetically, "Sorry, this is all I have in my bag." Roland had just gone through a terrifying moment. Clutching his chest, he screamed as if about to die, but then angrily thought that Hada was deliberately toying with the Demon King. How despicable to dare play tricks on me. But while Roland was still pondering, Hada simply touched his health bar and said, "But no matter what, you've escaped the brink of death." Roland looked up and saw that was indeed true. Slightly surprised, he spoke sternly with cold eyes. "Tell me, what exactly do you want?" Roland's expression was now very serious. Hada stroked his chin thoughtfully and said, Actually, I want to ask something." Roland immediately tensed, ready to draw his sword and fight if Hada made any unusual moves. But Hada turned with a bright, cheerful face and asked, Where is the nearest safe zone for novices? Roland was dumbfounded, a question mark on his face. Safe zone for novices. But Hada remained as innocent as ever, explaining it is a place where low-level people without combat abilities can slowly learn and grow. Roland suddenly squinted, a sneaky look crossing his face as if he just realized something. So that's it. The plot forming in Roland's mind, the safe zone was full of newly born adventurers. Those who would defeat the Demon King in the future. He planned to wipe them out while they were still weak. Truly a despicable tactic. Roland's face turned pale, but he tried to act righteous, growling, "Do you think I would betray them just to survive?" But only seconds later, the righteous appearance vanished. Roland turned and started walking, muttering, "Forget it, survival first." He led the way with full calculation, determined to bring Hada to the safe zone, still trembling from his own sinister plan. Seeing Roland lead, Hada couldn't hide his joy and ran along excitedly, chattering, "Thanks, big brother. You're so kind." In contrast, Roland wore a resigned expression full of resentment and bitterness, thinking, "After all, I am humanity's irreplaceable hope." Hearing the thanks, he forced a smile as if nothing was wrong. But as soon as he turned away, his expression changed 180 degrees, full of anger and hatred for the damned Demon King. "Wait until I get to the safe zone, contact my superiors, then find a chance to kill you." As Roland walked lost in his scheming, he suddenly startled. From above, a blue monster with a wide-open mouth and a long, flicking tongue charged down. With his rich experience, Roland swiftly swung the holy silver wind, cutting the monster in half and blowing it up on the spot. He turned back, eyes cold, looking at the sky where numerous similar monsters named Demon Wind Sabers, level 42, were flying in. Roland slightly smirked. Quite a number. One charged at him. He launched a piercing strike straight through it, making it vanish instantly. Spinning around, Roland continued using the third-level full wind slash. Swordlight flashed, taking down each monster in the blink of an eye. Hada stood beside him, eyes shining brightly, unable to hide his admiration. Suddenly, a strange sound came from behind Hada. Frightened, he turned and saw another demon wind saber clawing fiercely toward him. Seeing this, Roland thought silently, "Is he about to act? If I intervene, I can collect his combat data." But unexpectedly, in an instant, Hada panicked, rushed forward, grabbed Roland tightly, and shouted, "Big brother, save me!" The monster originally targeting Hada changed direction and charged at both of them. Roland carried Hada and lightly drew his sword, slashing repeatedly. In just a moment, the monster exploded mid-air, turning to dust. Then Roland went deaf. Hada looked at him with disdain. What a poor performance. Meanwhile, Hada's face looked 10 years older as he still held Roland tightly, silently thinking that even when facing fierce monsters, he didn't make a move, truly the confidence of a powerful warrior. Roland helplessly dragged Hada, muttering as they walked, "Clearly, he has overwhelming strength, yet he didn't realize I'm the one who will kill him." Hada held on tight, looking up at Roland with an admiring expression, amazed at how strong and handsome he was. Roland smirked with slight satisfaction. Looks like luck is on my side." But the coolness lasted only a few seconds. With so little blood left, Roland felt drained as he dragged Hada along. He tried to push him away, panting, "Can you let go? I really can't walk anymore." Hada quickly released his grip, embarrassed, "Sorry." Freed from Hada, Roland wearily leaned on his sword and rested on the ground. Hada opened his backpack to check the items he picked up from the outdoor boss. He turned back and pointed at Bio's corpse. "Don't you want the body?" Roland stood coldly. "NPCs have rules, you don't loot monster corpses." Hada's eyes lit up innocently. "Then can I have it?" Roland was stunned, speechless. He stared as Hada gleefully picked up Bio's triangular underwear and shouted, "Thanks, big bro, no more formalities." He even turned, holding Bio's shirt, and asked, "This is a divine outfit too, don't you want it?" Roland shyly waved it off. "Of course not." Hada didn't hesitate and quickly gathered the dropped props. Bio's S-Rank chest-covering cloth, special horn of the Great Demon, 12 of Bio's eggs, 13 gold gems, 87, 39 green gems, orange gems. Roland looked regretful. "Is there a bug in my account? Can't wear them, what a pity." Suddenly, Hada found something, his eyes shining brightly as he shouted, "Ah, here it is!" He raised his hand to call Roland over. Although confused, Roland came to sit beside Hada, who handed him a forbidden book of Bio telling the ABC stories between her and the Demon King. Both read with flushed faces. Hada chuckled happily while Roland blushed and nose bled, losing another 300 HP. He covered his nose and looked away, thinking, "The Demon Clan is filthy. I absolutely can't let the world fall into their hands." Hada looked at the props collected in the backpack. Long silently thought, all of these are high-level outdoor boss items. If it were someone else, they'd be so happy they'd be flying. So lucky, if only I could use these to create an account, that'd be great. But thinking again, he felt sad, almost in tears. No experience gained, can't equip divine gear, can't level up. Hada looked ahead, trying to stay optimistic. Now that it's come to this, just think of ways to survive first. He looked up to see Roland panting fiercely, fighting 7 monsters. Suddenly, one flew up and bit Roland's head, taking 50 HP. Hada watched in admiration, eyes shining like seeing a movie star, thinking, so handsome. If one day I could be as strong as Big Bro, that would be amazing. After the battle, Roland tiredly stuck his sword in the ground, panting hard, and pointed ahead. That's the safe zone over there. Hada looked towards a brightly lit area. The system announced the KM University from level 1 to level 10 in the peace area. Hada exclaimed, and it's actually my school. Scene shifts to Bio's altar. The atmosphere is noisy with discussions. Bio failed and even died. Who's that bad? A red-haired demon clan woman, just as seductive as Bio, spoke up. This is serious. Bio has to send someone else to greet the Demon King. The meeting's host, a white-haired demon clan sitting at the head of the table, spoke in a deep voice. Only Bio can see the Demon King's face in prophetic dreams. If something happens to her, how will we find the Demon King? That's the 7th Heavenly King Babylon, level 101 supreme leader of the Demon Clan. Unlike the fiery demon clans, Babylon has a Lolita appearance, a stern face, and a heavy, solemn atmosphere. Suddenly, a decisive voice rang out from behind, "Don't be afraid." Everyone turned startled. The newcomer was the 7th Heavenly King Mammon, level 84, an S-rank demon like Bio. Mammon had a seductive figure, shiny blue hair, matching eyes, and enchanting elf ears. She stepped forward, pulling a paper from her chest, and said, "Before Bio left, she left us a clue." Mammon handed the paper to everyone. It was a portrait of the Demon King. She continued, "With this, we can recognize the Demon King. No need to worry." Babylon stood up and said, "You came just in time, Mammon." Mammon stroked his chin thoughtfully and asked how the situation was now. Babylon, with an angry face, clenched his fists, looking both cute and fierce, and responded according to the Demon Intelligence's report. After killing Bio Roland, he left the birthplace of the Demon King and went to the safe trade zone. Moreover, he brought someone along, Mammon. Upon hearing this, his eyes flashed with thought, so the person he brought might very well be the Demon King himself. It seems to be a demon tradition to keep items in the chest. Babylon pulled out a photo from his shirt pocket and said the Demon Intelligence sent this image of that person's appearance. He looks like this. She held up a photo of Hada foaming at the mouth, his face aged by several years from fear. Mammon looked at the photo, lost in thought. Suddenly, she flicked the photo away with a smile and turned to walk off, leaving Babylon stunned. A Mammon spoke up. "It doesn't look very good. At least it shows the Demon King wasn't captured by Roland and is still safe." The photo that was thrown landed neatly in the trash bin, mixed with Mammon's firm orders that there can be no delay. Immediately gather the troops and deploy. By any means, the Demon King must be found. Meanwhile, Hada's eyes shone brightly, his excitement lighting up his cheeks as if blooming flowers. This is the safe zone, so many people here. In front of him, thousands of players lined up waiting to enter the safe zone. It's way too crowded. Behind the crowd, Hada followed Roland and couldn't help but exclaim, "So many people." In contrast to Hada's curious excitement, Roland walked ahead with a sinister gaze, thinking the acting was truly masterful. "But someone as arrogant as you has no idea what you're about to face." Roland continued scheming. "This KME University is a huge trap, the safe zone. It's guarded by Shen Ming, who has busted system devices that conceal the powers of all monsters. In the center of the safe zone, a towering lightning rod crackled with bright blue electricity as if waiting to be activated." Roland murmured about the Buston system, his eyes growing more sinister. He imagined 2 monsters rushing into the safe zone only to be stopped dead in their tracks. No matter how strong the monster is, coming here is like a turtle trapped in a jar. That's the rule of the game. He thought silently, "As soon as you step into the safe zone, we will control and kill you." An image of Hada, chained tightly, bloodied all over, appeared in Roland's mind. He smugly thought, "You will die because of your arrogance and ignorance, while I, as the prophecy says, will become the hero leading players to destroy the Demon King." Roland smiled, imagining himself respected by thousands. After some distance, Roland and Hada arrived at the reception area of the safe zone. 2 NPC receptionists, upon seeing Roland, exclaimed, Isn't that Lord Roland the hero who will lead everyone to slay the Demon King in the prophecy? Hearing this, Roland's heart skipped a beat, his blood dropping 50 points. He quickly switched to acting mode, pretending to be humble. Don't say more, my status isn't even enough to fit in a crack. But the NPC didn't stop excitedly continuing, unexpectedly Lord Roland with such great wisdom has come here, truly favored and revered. I heard you went to the birthplace of the Demon King wanting to kill him from infancy. May I ask if it went well? Have you already chopped that evil creature into pieces? The NPC's words terrified Roland, his face contorted. He hurriedly covered his mouth with his hand, signaling the NPC to be quiet and not say more. Hada, while submitting information to the receptionist, overheard the conversation and couldn't help but admire. Turns out this big brother has such setups, really impressive. The older receptionist on the left laughed loudly. How come you only just realized this guy here is humanity's hope, Roland? In the prophecy, he will lead players to destroy the Demon King, he said, pointing proudly at Roland. Roland, being pointed at, flinched, his face turning pale, and hurriedly cut off the conversation, his mind tangled in knots. The young receptionist looked at Roland excitedly and announced, Lord Roland Buston has been completed in the safe zone. He turned to Hada happily and asked, Do you know about Buston? It's meant to... Before he finished, Roland jumped forward, raised his hand to stop him, and growled, Don't force the dialogue anymore. He grabbed the receptionist's collar, shook him back and forth, and shouted, Do you want the world to be destroyed? Hada stood behind, confused and not understanding, but still admiring. The Buston system is really good. After shaking the two receptionists for a while, Roland quickly grabbed Hada's shoulder and pushed him toward the safe zone door, muttering, Young people these days like to joke around too much. He left the two receptionists dumbfounded, wondering if they had said something wrong. Hada pushed away, still wore an admiring expression, silently thinking how great it would be if he could become a hero like this big brother. He kept marveling that Roland was both strong and kind-hearted, but little did he know that behind Roland's sweat-dotted face lay a heart full of murderous intent. Just escaped danger, but now he had to find a way to kill him. As Hada approached the doorway, Roland revealed a cruel look, a triumphant smile spreading across his lips. Just one more step. It was the victory of the righteous forces when Hada fully entered the Buston system's range, triggering a powerful burst of energy. Roland shouted triumphantly, Feel the overwhelming power of the system. Hada startled and asked in confusion, What? The power of the system. But after that burst of energy, the space suddenly fell silent, and nothing happened. Roland froze, stunned and confused, but actually something had happened. The Buston system outside malfunctioned, and the Buston divine artifact at the safe zone showed a clear crack. Roland muttered tensely. Could he be in existence even the system can't control? Hada stood carefree within the safe zone and spoke. So this is the power of the system. Roland's heart jumped violently. Hada continued in a relieved tone. Well, then I'm at ease. He thought the Roland faction was protected by an inviolable system, guaranteeing absolute safety in the safe zone. But to Roland, that carefree tone sounded like a confident threat, sending chills down his spine. Roland, furious at the uselessness of the Buston system, shouted, What exactly do you want? The scene shifted as a red beam of light blazed down from above, turning the entire reception area into a sea of flames. A strong gust blew off the wig of a guy waiting to submit information, revealing a shiny, bald head. Two receptionists looked around bewildered, not understanding what had just happened. Players nearby panicked, some so scared they lost balance and fell hard to the ground. A green-haired girl exclaimed, What's going on? Others echoed in unison, What just happened? Under attack. The young receptionist looked down at his hands and muttered, Seems like the server's lagging. The older receptionist answered firmly, Don't be afraid, it's just a little lag. He raised his hand confidently, pointing at the Buston pillar. This is the safe zone protected by the Buston divine artifact. As long as you stay within this area, you're absolutely safe. But looking closer, he hesitated and wondered, Did Buston used to look like this? The young receptionist also went blank. I don't really remember, it looks a bit strange. Still, with strong faith, the older receptionist turned back with a hollow voice. In short, no need to be afraid. Our greatest hope, humanity's top strategist Rolandry, is right here. He gestured toward Roland and Hada, exclaiming, Lord Roland, please say a few words to everyone. Lord Roland sensed something was wrong, clutching his head and dropping to his knees, screaming in pain. Damn it! This is just too brutal. Hada behind him was startled by the scream, not understanding what was going on. Roland's face turned pale and his heart was in turmoil as he stared at the busted pillar, now dented into a heart shape, seemingly mocking him. In his mind, he pictured Hada transformed into a giant, arrogantly laughing out loud. The small Roland drew his sword, waiting for the right moment, thinking, if I activate Bustin, I can use the system's power to subdue him, but he didn't expect Hada to counterattack. In his imagination, Hada raised a giant fist and punched straight at Roland, who was knocked away and vanished like smoke before he could even draw his sword. Roland looked like he was about to cough up blood, his face ashen and lifeless, muttering, "Is this the gap in our true strengths? If not, then I'll just surrender." He was completely broken, his whole being drained of color. Hada stood there, clueless, not understanding what had happened to Roland, turning to look at him crawling on the ground, and asked Big Brother Roland, "Are you okay?" He heard it was just a minor lag, nothing serious. Hada secretly smiled in his heart. Didn't expect Roland to be scared like this, truly adorable. He bent down and patted Roland's shoulder encouragingly. "Big Brother Roland, please cheer up." Then Roland looked up at Hada with a suspicious gaze. Hada smiled brightly and continued, "You're humanity's hope, yet you can be scared so easily. The game has just begun." Hearing this, Roland felt as if he had been stabbed, pain cutting through his heart, tears welling up in frustration. The Demon King is truly ruthless. It's only just started, and it's already like this. He growled with a dark face in anger. "What exactly do you want?" Roland slowly stood up, trying to regain his masculine demeanor, and said firmly, "Let's see." Hada, startled and confused, "What me?" He was flustered, thinking silently, could he be about to hand out mission rewards? He only said a few simple words and was already this moved. He spoke cheerfully. "Big Brother Roland, you're too polite. It's just that after you said that, I really want to ask for your help with something." Hada's eyes sparkled as he tightly grasped Roland's hand, looking straight into his eyes. Roland panicked, sweat pouring down his face, his cheeks slightly red with embarrassment. Scene shifts. Hada, excited, dragged Roland to the central shopping area of the safe zone, chattering, "Anyone who wants to live in the safe zone first must learn production skills right." Roland stood beside him, puzzled, exclaiming, "Huh?" He looked at Hada cheerfully, but felt uneasy inside, thinking he was about to make some scary demand. But it turned out he just wanted to learn production skills. Da, still excited, turned back. "Big Brother Roland, you're the hero leading players to defeat the Demon King, right?" As he spoke, he recalled pretending to be a superhero as a kid, hitting his father on the head. He continued, "Actually, I liked hero stories since I was little. I always dreamed of becoming a hero." Hada looked down at his hands. Voice deepened, "Because my account is abnormal. I don't know what to do, but fate arranged for me to meet you, surely meaning I shouldn't give up." Hada's eyes sparkled with passion as he turned to look at Roland, voice full of determination, "So I won't back down. Even if I choose the production path, I will try my best to become a hero." Hearing this, Roland was stunned, his head spinning, stammering, "Huh?" Hada's face lit up dreamily, continuing to ask earnestly, "Would you be willing to guide me? This is my small request." Roland was still shocked from earlier, only able to widen his eyes, thinking silently. Is he planning to go all out? Then Hada and Roland together approached two instructors. The first Hotch Neat cooking skills instructor smirked sarcastically, "Ha ha ha!" A tiny guy too scared to go to the battlefield, dreaming of learning production skills. The other Lam Bang Bang first aid skills instructor in a tight nurse outfit coldly glanced at Hada. With a face like that, who'd be foolish enough to risk fighting monsters. Both continued looking at Hada, mocking in unison. "You think learning production skills is an easy way to make money? On the contrary, learning production skills is extremely costly. Ordinary players have to plan carefully, save every penny at best, earning only 10 silver in a few hours, just enough to learn a basic production skill." "Yes." Hada showed no hesitation, stretching out his hand calmly. "Yes, this is all I have." The two instructors glanced at Hada's system panel and were immediately stunned, nearly spitting out their saliva. Over 10 gold. Seeing Hada's huge fortune, Hotch Niet quickly changed his attitude, a flattering smile blooming. "So you're the boss, my apologies." Lam Bang Bang, standing nearby with beads of sweat on her forehead, also exclaimed, "Starting off with that much money, boss, you're really impressive. But we are NPCs with principles. We won't blindly choose you just because you have money. This money is enough to learn skills, but to master them quickly, it's still far from enough. If a production skill doesn't reach proficiency, you can't profit." She paused a moment, then continued, "Currently, the two worlds have just merged. Everyone is a newbie. Materials are extremely scarce. The ingredients needed to upgrade. Production skills are almost non-existent on the market. Forcing improvements means buying from NPCs like in-game top-ups, and the price is exorbitant. Hearing this, Hada's face stiffened, only able to utter an ah before awkwardly lowering his head, voice fading, But I have my own hardships. Hada turned back, eyes pleading toward Roland. Is there really no other way, Roland? Hearing Hada's words was momentarily startled. Face-pale mind, chaotic thinking. Why look at me? That hateful demon king dared to insult me, now wants to drain my money too. Thinking this, a fire of anger blazed within Roland. He could be killed but not humiliated. Was he really going to be this cowardly? But just a second later, Roland unconsciously took money out of his pocket and handed it to Hada reluctantly. I only carry this much when I go out. Hada was extremely surprised, then quickly smiled brightly as he accepted 17 gold and 3 silver. I'm not trying to mooch money from Big Brother Roland. But before the smile could fully form, Lam Bang Bang coldly cut in, it's still not enough. Without hesitation, Hada again looked pleadingly at Roland, who, though reluctant, took off his jacket worth 48.7 gold and offered it. Lam Bang Bang glanced and still declared not enough yet. Roland clenched his teeth and pulled out the sword worth 74.8 gold, but was still met with a shake of the head. In the end, Roland was left with only a pair of pants printed with an elephant that some die-hard fans were willing to pay 99.7 gold to own. Now Roland stood alone, angrily punching a rock and screaming inside the hateful demon lord just robbed everything from me. The three standing behind Hada Kach Neat and Lam Bang Bang looked puzzled with question marks above their heads. But Lam Bang Bang's cold voice rang out, still not enough. The lowest production skill must correspond to an early-stage Grade C combat skill. Practicing won't bring profit. No Neat standing nearby interrupted. Doesn't Lord Roland still have a precious watch? Roland's face turned pale as he turned closer. That was a coming-of-age gift my father gave me. The scene shifted to Hada's hand holding the Lee family's heirloom watch. Lam Bang Bang's eyes, full of suspicion, spoke up. Why does Lord Roland treat you so well? It even scares me. Hey, Catch Neat, standing beside her, couldn't hide his curiosity either. Really interesting. Hada's eyes sparkled with excitement as he replied, Really? He values me? I told him I also wanted to become a hero and asked for his help, but I didn't expect him to acknowledge me to this extent. Truly touching. On the other side, Hada Kach Neat and Lam Bang Bang were chatting animatedly, laughing happily. Meanwhile, Roland stood alone in a corner, so frustrated he looked like he might foam at the mouth, silently screaming inside, might as well just kill me now. Humanity's hope, Roland was now only filled with hatred for this world. Hada, still smiling brightly, turned to say, anyway, I'll think of a way about the money. Lam Bang Bang's cold eyes casually pointed out, if you want to make money, you can check out the NPC merchants. New players usually make money by selling props to them. The scene shifted to a bustling trading center inside the system shop. A player was busily placing props on the counter to sell bronze mouse tail grade E prop worth 3 silver, little finger of a low-level skeleton soldier grade D prop worth 32 silver. The merchant behind the counter glanced over and spoke, Oh, your equipment isn't bad. The player's eyes lit up excitedly and asked, Really, boss, how much can I sell this for? The merchant smiled faintly and gestured 1 silver 20 copper. Hearing that, the player's face fell, annoyed. That's so little. But in the end, had to reluctantly sell, walking away with 43 copper, looking dejected. Half a day of play, and still no skill chosen. Meanwhile, the merchant closed the shop, smiling brightly, saying, See you next time. The player was so frustrated he couldn't hold back tears, crying loudly. How is one supposed to play if it's this hard? Just then, Hada walked by, witnessing the scene, smiling softly with understanding eyes. Indeed, no matter how the world changes, the eternal problem is still money. He pushed open the door and stepped in, speaking firmly, Boss, I have some stuff to sell. The merchant from before turned back enthusiastic. Sure, put it on the table and let me see. Da didn't hesitate, taking all the props out and placing them on the counter. Silver bamboo leaf, priced at 74.8 gold. Long tan coat, priced at 48.7 gold. Lai family heirloom watch, priced at 141.3 gold. And finally, Atlanta underwear with no set price yet. Looking at the sparkling props before him, the merchant's eyes widened and mouth dropped open, all grade S props. The merchant stroked his chin deeply, feeling like these items were strangely familiar. Suddenly he froze. eyes wider than before realizing they were all Lord Roland's equipment. Hada didn't give him time to recover, cutting off his thoughts. There's also this. The merchant, still in shock, asked, startled, there's more. Hada shyly pulled out a set of erotic underwear and placed it on the table. This is it. Everyone around stared in amazement, eyes wide. The merchant almost spat out his drink. Staring at the sparkling underwear, stammering, could this also be Lord Roland's? He glanced at the underwear, thinking awkwardly, the style is pretty decent. Hada, after displaying all the props, asked the boss, please tell me how much this can sell for. The merchant regained composure and replied, these 2 items have not been appraised yet. They need to be appraised to know their value. He raised his hand and cast a grade 99 appraisal skill. When the results appeared, his face turned pale, eyes showing clear panic. 2 sparkling props on the table. The Demon Lord's horn, a versatile ingredient for cooking, potion, making jewelry. Crafting, even with effects for virility and beauty enhancement, selling price. 6 gold coins, 50 silver coins. A chest-covering cloth from Bio. A chest armor rated for undead hunters requiring level 50 plus 99 strength, 199 agility, 199 critical hit, 152 endurance. 1.844 billion with gem sockets, selling price 340 gold coins. After reading the results, the merchant was so shocked his eyes bulged as if about to pop out, stammering, how is this possible? The crowd around was equally astonished. Someone shouted, boss, are you kidding me? Such a heavy armor, and you only offer 2 silver. But this thin piece of cloth, you say, is worth over 300. Hearing that, the merchant angrily replied, you don't understand anything. With a mix of excitement and enthusiasm, he looked at the outfit and said, some outfits are only valuable because they're thin. The merchant lifted the outfit close to his square, sculpted face, deeply fascinated. This fabric is soft and light like air. He brought it to his nose and took a deep sniff, exclaiming, and it has this salty, sweet aroma. Plus, it's a claw tear pattern, increasing its value by 200%. He held the outfit in front of him, the info glowing brightly. Bio's chest covering carries the intense fragrance of a seductive female demon lord, selling price soaring from 340 gold coins to 680 gold coins. With the look of a fanatic, he hugged the outfit tightly, eyes shining brightly, muttering, a masterpiece. This is a super rare masterpiece. Turning to Hada, he decisively set the price. 680 gold coins is what I'll pay for this equipment. This is a graduation outfit, extremely rare, spawn rate. Its true value is immeasurable. Hada's eyes lit up, hearing this voice, excited. Really? It can be sold for that much. But at that moment, the boss's face suddenly grew serious, raising his hand to stop Hada. It's just that I advise you not to sell it. Hada looked confused and asked, why shouldn't I sell it? The boss's voice deepened as he explained, if you sell this equipment to me, the system will reclaim it, and it will no longer exist. Hada, expressionless, pressing the trade button with a mumble. But it seems it can't be traded with others either. It's bound, can't be traded or gifted. The boss's eyes, full of passion, added, but you can keep it, although wearing it might make you look a bit perverted. In his mind appeared the image of Hada wearing that outfit, thinking silently, that really is perverted. He hurriedly continued excitedly, when your level is high enough, wearing it will bring a spectacular leap in improvement. But you will become the object of admiration for countless people. He muttered as if talking to himself, I don't know about admiration, but the image of you wearing that really blinds me. Hearing this, Hada froze, 3 large ellipses clearly showing on his face. The door swung open. Hada stepped out with a satisfied demeanor, his eyes sparkling proudly. Biocap's chest covering was sold and reclaimed by the system. The 2 Demon Lord horns met the same fate, disappearing into the system warehouse. Hada's total income today was 955 gold coins and 60 silver coins. Meanwhile, behind the counter, the boss slammed the table angrily, shouting regretfully, why would someone sell a graduation outfit to the shop? Such a waste of a heavenly treasure, truly a waste of a heavenly treasure. Hada was completely opposite, his heart full of satisfaction. In this game, Fusion World, everyone has their own goal. Some dream of defeating the final boss to save the world. Others aim to dominate the arena leaderboard, and some yearn to explore the map and unlock infinite potential. But for Hada, his imagination soared far beyond. In his mind appeared a glorious vision, Hada standing proudly before the Demon King, surrounded by a dense crowd, cheering loudly. Someone beside him respectfully said, yes, boss, only you deserve to land the final blow to kill the Demon King. That's right, Kim Doan, the so-called tactic of hiring a team to lead you through the dungeon. With this method, even without great combat power, Hada can still join the final boss raid. Another person respectfully raised his sword toward Hada and said, "Please, Hada." Hada, majestic. Like an emperor standing before the trembling demon king on the throne, stammered, begging, "Please, don't." Hada didn't even draw his sword, just flicked his fingers on the demon king's forehead, coldly saying, "No need for a sword." Then the demon king collapsed to the ground, red syrup spilling everywhere. In that moment, Hada received the achievement savior, the one who defeated the final boss. Hada stood tall among thousands of people, cheers resounding like waves. The hero who killed the demon king is Hada. He raised his head high, heart full of pride. Yes, this is truly my path as a hero. As long as I have money, I can reach the peak of heroism. A scene in Hada's imagination, a seductive beauty lying sideways on the bed, coquettishly saying, "Master, no Lord Hada, my hero, my idol, my savior." His imagination soared even further. Hada casually sat eating throwing money to other players to help them pass the dungeon. One of them respectfully said, "Master, you can rest under the tower, we will win and return." In reality, Hada smiled oddly. The atmosphere around him seemed to ignite with passion. While diligently training his cooking skill proficiency, he thought to himself, just imagining it fills me with hope for the future. Behind him, a player caught Hada's strange smile and blurted out from "villain." The person next to him, hearing this, turned around curiously and asked, "Who are you?" At that moment, Hada's beginner cooking skill reached max level. He stepped out of this training area. Hachneet hurried over excitedly. Hada, how's the progress?" Hada opened the door and walked out casually, replying full, "Oh, Hachneet." Hearing this burst with enthusiasm, clapping and shouting, "Oh, beginner skill is full. Next is the intermediate stage, which is really hard, try to awaken." But Hada, hands in pockets, looking cool, brushed past Hachneet. He casually said, like the Windmaster level is already full. Hachneet was stunned to stone on the spot, mouth agape, not yet recovering. He turned around and looked back at Hada's retreating figure. Hada muttered in disbelief, master level already. Leaving the training area, Hada clenched his fists. His eyes burned with passion. So what if the account is abnormal? The game has only just begun. From now on, the Demon King is the target I must defeat. Just wait. He raised his head voice full of determination. The NPC's mission is to support player growth. The player's mission is to defeat the final Demon King. Surviving in this world is no longer simple. Hada, hands in pockets, walked through the bustling crowd. He listened carefully to the murmurs of the surrounding players. 3 more teams have been wiped out already. There's no way to get started with this situation. This is already a stroke of luck and misfortune. Hearing this, Hada smirked with pride and satisfaction. Suddenly, the system notification sounded, interrupting his thoughts. Your backpack space is insufficient. Hada's backpack was already full of items, plus 680 gold and 23 silver in his pouch. He silently smiled half-heartedly. Next, I have to deal with this important issue first. Lost in thought, the driver's shout shattered Hada's train of thought. "Hey, are you getting in the car or not? I'm driving." Hada hurriedly answered anxiously. Coming. He looked up. In front was the team formation hall of a massive multi-story building. Inside, Hada heard the murmurs of players. I heard their team is all level 15 members. That high, he checked the combat ranking board. Their team nearly occupied all the top 5 spots. They coordinate like a professional squad. I heard they have defeated level 6 over-leveled monsters. Curious, Hada stopped to listen more closely to the conversation. Really? Yes, the captain seems to be a professional player. Scene shifts to a white-haired young man with a villainous look appearing. That is Tan Hao Nian. Profession Rogue Intern level 16, ranked 2nd on the combat strength board. Hao Nian sat there with a confident smile. If the supplies have arrived, then let's set off. Following him, a short-haired, cold-faced girl named Luke Ku spoke. Profession Gunner Intern level 15, ranked 3rd on the combat strength board. She spoke coldly. Fighting over-leveled monsters is tough. It'd be better to have one more person to handle them faster. What do you think? Captain Hao Nian smirked upon hearing that and replied immediately. Adding more fools means experience points have to be split more. I've calculated it. 4 people is the optimal number. Next to him, a pink-haired loli appeared with a rather unfriendly expression. Her name is Amlu. Her assassin trainee rank is hidden so no one can see it. Hao Nian threw an arm around a brown-haired girl's neck and spoke confidently. Remember, with a professional team, efficiency comes first. If any of you girls hold the team back, I'll immediately kick you out and replace you even if you're my own sister. The brown-haired girl was startled and quickly responded. I'll try my best, little Hao. Please don't kick me out. She's Tyung-Ween, a level 16 divine official ranked 4th on the combat power leaderboard. Hao Nian stood up and said firmly while walking, "Then show me what you've got. All right, let's go." While walking, a system notification suddenly popped up. "Hada request to join your team, Hao Nian." He frowned silently, thinking, what idiot is this? You want to cling to me? Without hesitation, he pressed decline. But just after declining, the notification popped up again, startling Hao Nian. He muttered irritably, "This is annoying." He declined again, but the join request kept appearing, swirling around Hao Nian like a tease. He anxiously exclaimed, "How the heck is someone this stupid?" Still, Hao Nian started to find it amusing, a smile creeping onto his lips. But Hada kept sending requests, and Hao Nian kept declining, repeating this 10 times. After a series of declines, another notification appeared. It wasn't a join request, but Hada requesting a trade. Hao Nian frowned suspiciously, testing the trade request to see what trick he was trying. He pressed accept. A large trade window suddenly appeared, making Hao Nian jump and ask, "What is this?" The trade details were clear. The other party offered you 10 gold coins. The other party confirmed. Reading this, Hao Nian froze, sweat pouring down, unable to believe his eyes, shouting, "Damn it! 10 gold coins, really? Why? How is this possible?" In Hao Nian's eyes, images of sparkling gold coins appeared, surrounded by glowing red veins, as if they were dancing. With his superhuman resource calculation skills, he mentally reviewed his team had only managed to gather 2 gold and 57 silver after all their hard work. Yet now someone owned 10 gold coins and was even planning to give it away. Giving me 10 gold coins at this early stage when ranks are low and resources scarce. Learning combat skills must be carefully considered, prioritizing only the important ones. 10 gold coins is enough to learn all the current combat skills. It could even craft a complete set of gear. A max-level elder with unbeatable skills can level up 5 times faster. Thinking this, Hao Nian was so shocked that his cool, handsome look vanished, leaving only a stunned face. Could it be that someone in this world really owns 10 gold coins and is ranked number 1? He swallowed hard, his head spinning. Is this some kind of joke? Should I decline or accept? But who could refuse 10 gold coins? Brimming with resolve, Hao Nian pressed accept immediately. His account was credited with 10 gold coins. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. Hao Nian still couldn't believe his eyes, holding his head in confusion, muttering, "Is there really an idiot giving me 10 gold coins?" This action made the teammates around look at each other, puzzled. "Captain, what are you doing?" Just then a beep sounded. Hao Nian glanced and saw the notification appear again. "Hada requests to join your team." A sly smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Scene shift. Hada stood in front of Hao Nian's group. Calm and composed, Hao Nian asked with a probing gaze, "You want to hire us to take you back to the original house to retrieve something very important, right?" Hada nodded repeatedly and replied, "Yes, yes." A clear map appeared in his mind. He continued confidently, "I asked the guards there. Now it's occupied by level 18 underwater mole rats. I really can't go alone. The only option is to hire someone to take me." Luke Q immediately interrupted coldly. "Don't joke. We're busy climbing the rankings, not here to do charity work." Hao Nian was startled, hearing Luke Ku speak, turning to the handsome face, distorted tears streaming down from who knows when. "Have you become so cold?" Luke Ku was stunned and turned back confused, while Hao Nian thought silently he's already given too much. Placing his hand on his chest, Hao Nian seriously said he remembered the professional team wanted to go far. Love was the most important, and what we take on really is that material decides consciousness. Luke Q looked at Hao Nian, now his face in disbelief, muttering, "Who is he?" Scene shifts to the night sky, sparkling with stars, and a towering skyscraper looming in the darkness. The green lights from the building's signboard shone brightly across the area. At the gate, Luke Ku ran after Hao Nian anxiously. Captain, our team is leading the rankings. Why are you doing such trivial things?" Amlu, the pink-haired lowly girl, also hurried after silently. Hao Nian smiled while opening the system board in front of Luke Q proudly. "Take a look at this first, then talk." Luke Q looked at the system board and saw the amount of gold in Hao Nian's account and was immediately shocked. How does he have so much money? She pondered in disbelief, thinking silently, could that weak-looking short guy have given all his gold to the captain? Luke Q put his hand on his chin, eyes full of thought, and that guy even had a treasure so valuable he didn't hesitate to spend 10 gold to retrieve it. Hao Nian stood beside him, nodding in satisfaction at Luke Q's deductions, speaking in agreement. "Exactly." Hao Nian revealed a sinister face. his eyes flashing the characteristic nastiness of handsome villains. He asserted firmly, "It must be the ultimate treasure, Zhao Nguyen." Hao Nian's sister caught up and worriedly said, "Wait, you want to steal his treasure?" Hao Nian grinned slyly, the corners of his mouth curling with scheming. "That treasure's value definitely far exceeds 10 gold. If we get it, our team's combat power will skyrocket." His expression grew even more devious as he continued, "I even planned to kill him if he resisted. Who dares oppose such an easy win?" Luke Ku crossed his arms, standing with a cold, indifferent face, replying, "I have no opinion." Hao Nian turned to Lu, standing silently by a utility pole nearby, his eyes cold and filled with ominous energy. The girl spoke calmly, "As long as we can win." Zhao Nguyen worriedly chased after Hao Nian, stammering, "Sis has an opinion." But Hao Nian, hands in pockets and eyes closed, didn't care, replying while walking, "No one cares." Luke Q walked beside them, just glancing at Zhao Nguyen without saying a word. Zhao Nguyen was small and scared, eyes shimmering as if about to cry. Hao Nian led loudly, "Then let's get started." The people behind immediately quickened their steps following the command. The hunt begins. Hao Nian's smile grew more sinister, his eyes flashing with schemes. Scene shifts to streaks of light flashing continuously, accompanied by monster bodies falling scattered on the ground. Hao Nian turned to Hada and asked, "Is the boss here?" Hada stood behind, watching the group boldly standing among the monster corpses, and nodded enthusiastically. Yes. You admire them, but don't forget to add that I live on the 6th floor of this apartment." Hao Nian fidgeted with a knife, confidence overflowing as he replied, "Good, don't worry. The monsters here are level 18, but our team is the most professional and will definitely keep you safe." Hada, standing behind, listened to Hao Nian and couldn't help but be impressed, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Lu led the way, Hada closely followed, Luke Ku walked in the middle, and Hao Nian and Zhao Nguyen closed the formation. The five walked silently through the ruined hallway, dust-covered with eerie sounds echoing that made Hada shiver as he tightened his grip on the bag against his chest. Zhao Nguyen also anxiously tiptoed ahead of Hao Nian, her voice timid, "Something's not right here." Hao Nian turned with a scrutinizing gaze. Zhao Nguyen continued nervously, "Since entering this building, I've felt a strange aura. They are in the apartment dungeon level requirement 25 and above. This high-rise apartment has long been abandoned and occupied by monsters. The gloomy atmosphere sends chills down the spine." Zhao Nguyen, naturally timid and scared, stammered, "Maybe we should just leave." Hearing the words, "Just leave," Hao Nian's face immediately darkened, radiating killing intent, his voice sharp and angry. "Are you trying to say you understand how to play the game better than me?" Without letting Zhao Nguyen reply, Hao Nian turned and walked on, leaving his sister standing dazed behind. "As you walked away, you coldly warned, if you don't understand anything, just shut up and obediently follow. If you bother me, I'll stay here alone and wait to die." Everyone continued walking. Hada muttered to himself. Arriving in front of a room, he looked up and softly said, "Here it is." Hada, with a bright expression, turned to the four people slowly approaching, pointed at the room excitedly, and said, "Thank you, guys. This is really trustworthy." At this moment, Hao Nian's face showed a vile smile more deceitful than ever, with the flattering tone of a petty man. He replied, "Hada, no, boss. Hurry and get the stuff." Hada, without any suspicion, turned back, took out the key, and was about to unlock the door. At that moment, Hao Nian saw his chance, his eyes burning with murderous intent from behind. He leapt up, clutching a knife tightly ready to deliver a finishing blow to Hada. Hada was still innocent and unaware, happily inserting the key to open the door, but before he could act, Hao Nian was suddenly interrupted by a giant mutated rat that rushed at both of them. The level 22 A-rank monster startled Hao Nian, who was momentarily shocked and exclaimed what, still the composure of a professional player, quickly surfaced. He regained his calm and shouted loudly, "Move away," and with a decisive command, the team immediately leapt away from the monster's devastating attack. With the power of a level 22 monster, the strike created a destructive force that obliterated everything in its path. Even though he jumped up to avoid it, Hao Nian was still affected, grimacing as he thought, "Why is there a level 22 A-rank monster here?" He clung tightly to the wall to avoid falling into the pit caused by the attack. Hastily, Hao Nian turned and asked everyone, "Are you all clear?" All four were seasoned players who had managed to grab onto relatively safe spots amid the rubble. At this moment, Zhao Yuan's trembling voice asked, "Where's the boss?" The whole team was startled and simultaneously turned toward Hada. Standing at the bottom of the deep pit caused by the rat, Hada's figure appeared, his face pale as he screamed loudly, "Ouch!" You fell at a crazy speed. The four who witnessed this scene were dumbfounded, three dots appearing in their minds. Hao Nian looked at the scene with a twisted, sinister smile, pretending to sigh. We're done for the boss fell. Amlu's cold face immediately dashed down like a streak of light, his tone resolute. I'm going to save him. Hao Nian tried to stop him, but only managed to say, at that moment he shouted down the pit Amlu, but by then Amlu was just a streak of light, with no figure left, leaving three people clinging to the wall and the giant rat. Everyone looked toward the direction where Amlu vanished. Hao Nian froze with three dots, muttering a few sentences. Didn't get to say anything now, it doesn't matter anymore. Suddenly, Lu Ku's urgent voice rang out Captain Hao Nian. Confused, he turned to Lu Ku with tense eyes and continued. We're in big trouble. All eyes turned to the giant fat rat in the pit. Its fierce eyes glared, ready to pounce on the slightest chance. Hao Nian looked at the giant fat rat in the pit with a grimace, repeating his suspicious question. Why is there a level 22 A-rank monster here? The team currently only had 3 people. Hao Nian Lu Man, a level 16 intern, Lu Ku, a level 15 marksman intern, and Xiao Yuan, a level 16 divine gun intern. Lu Ku's serious face analyzed, usually a well-coordinated team can barely take down an A-rank monster of the same level. Xiao Yuan, already scared, became even more panicked upon hearing this, his face pale and voice trembling. So it's 6 levels above us. Do we even stand a chance? Lu Ku remained calm without a trace of fear and replied, There's a chance, but the risk is huge. Her voice grew solemn. The treasure is right in front of us, and after so much time, we haven't gained anything. Our top ranking status is probably about to be shaken. She turned to Hao Nian and decisively suggested our only option is to cut losses and retreat. Ow! Nian pondered silently without replying, sweat beading on his forehead as he looked at the rat and muttered, Observing carefully, something about this rat seems off. The fat rat had been standing at the bottom of the pit, looking left and right, as if searching for something, completely ignoring the 3 people clinging to the wall. Suddenly it opened its mouth, saliva flying everywhere, making an excited, prolonged squeak. Based on his knowledge of rat language, Hao Nian was startled and translated. Great Demon King. We can smell the scent of the Great Demon King. The mouse stood upright on 2 legs, looked around hastily, then panicked and ducked its head into a dark hole, screaming, The Demon Lord has fallen. At this moment, Ha-Da was free-falling down a deep pit, the speed so fast that everything around was just vague darkness. Tears welled up his face, full of regret as he silently thought he was about to die. But a positive light still surrounded Ha-Da. He closed his eyes, a satisfied smile appearing on his lips, comforting himself. If I die, maybe I'll awaken some system or something. That's how it goes in stories. While lost in thought, Ha-Da suddenly landed with a sound uttering Aizu. He sat up dazed, looking at his hands, muttering in disbelief. Ha-Da not only didn't die, but doesn't even feel pain. But contrary to Ha-Da's calm, the floor beneath his butt had lost 999 health, cracked open a huge hole. After the spectacular fall, Ha-Da earned the title the teenager who slipped and fell from 20 meters without dying. He looked up at the hole he had just fallen into, wondering and muttering, But what should I do now? Scratching his head awkwardly, Ha-Da thought optimistically, Well, just wait for those elders to come rescue me. But at that moment, from the darkness behind, pairs of glowing red eyes stared fixedly at him. Suddenly, a bunch of field rats rushed out all at once, squeaking noisily. In rat language, they were shouting, There's the Demon Lord. Why is the Demon Lord here? We love you. Demon Lord. Heart effects appeared around, floating and making the atmosphere even stranger. Hearing the noise, Ha-Da turned around curiously, but hadn't understood what was happening when flashing lights struck with deadly force. The rats rushing toward him were pierced with short swords pinned against the wall and died instantly. Ha-Da froze legs, trembling as if about to collapse from fear. A stepped forward from behind, his voice cold, yet with a hint of cuteness. Don't be afraid. Ha-Da, startled, turned around, raising his hands defensively, and stammered, Ah! Calm and deliberate steps approached under dim light. Her cold face could not hide her cuteness. She said calmly, It's been dangerous lately. You have to be careful. After a few more steps, a faint blue wall appeared in front of A. She reached out and touched it, speaking evenly, An air wall, you can't go up from here. Ha-Da panicked, exclaiming, An air wall, that real? A's eyes darkened as she looked at Ha-Da and said, Looks like we have to find another way back. Ha-Da pointed to the left, stammering, What if we take the stairs over there? A didn't hesitate, replying decisively, "You lead the way." Ha-Da was startled and asked, confused, "Me lead the way? Aren't I the boss?" A's face remained cold, but her eyes clearly showed helplessness. She puffed her cheeks, her voice scolding with a hint of anger. "What's that about? You want a shadow assassin from the shadow to walk in front. Then where's the mysterious vibe? Romance setup is romance setup, you understand." Ha-Da stubbornly played dumb, unwilling to lead, hastily replied, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't get it at all." But facing A's cold gaze, he had to give in, and cautiously stepped forward to lead, holding tightly to her shoulder fearfully as he reminded, "Just remember to protect me." A stood behind, hidden in the darkness, replying briefly, But her face suddenly changed 180 degrees, becoming gloomy. Her eyes flashed with killing intent, voice icy to the bone. "Don't worry," watching Ha-Da trembling ahead. A secretly thought with disdain. Ha-Da is truly a foolish man, so stupid. Just a little cunning from me, and he's completely unguarded, exposing his back. The atmosphere grew even darker and colder, blended with A's sharp gaze, causing Ha-Da to involuntarily flash a sinister smile. Her eyes gleamed with excitement, thinking if he knew our real goal was to steal the treasure before he died, he'd regret it a lot. Then A leapt up, drew a dagger, activated a level 1 backstab skill, preparing to deliver a fatal blow. But just then, Ha-Da seemed to remember something, happily opened his bag, pulled out a golden roast chicken, and turned to offer it to Here, eat this. Unexpectedly, the moment he offered the chicken coincidentally blocked A's dagger blade. The atmosphere immediately fell into silence. Embarrassed, A froze, unable to believe her eyes. Internally screaming, "What is going on? I can't understand how a roasted chicken blocked her critical assassination strike." Ha-Da, still cheerfully unaware, said, "Before, when I was learning advanced production skills, I made a lot." He spoke while looking at Amlu's health bar and continued innocently, "I saw you haven't bled yet, so I wanted to give you this to recover some health." Hearing this, Amlu let out a confused, "Ah!" and looked at her health bar. Indeed, she had lost a little health. Ha-Da noticed Amlu's dagger plunged deeply into the chicken. She asked innocently, "Is that knife of yours used to eat chicken?" Amlu was startled, realizing the blade was still stuck in the chicken. She quickly jumped back, her eyes full of caution. Ha-Da stood there clueless, holding the chicken, not understanding what was happening. Amlu frowned, thinking to herself, "This isn't right. This man is unusual. He looks like a weak soldier, yet he spent 10 gold coins and even has cooking skills." She recalled the roasted chicken that blocked her critical strike, and was shocked. A roasted chicken with absolute defense completely nullified my attack. She knew that even a level 16 warrior with a shield couldn't avoid injury from that move. Amlu's eyes flashed with killing intent, growing even more suspicious. This guy must be hiding a terrible secret. She needs to be careful. That roasted chicken might be heavily poisoned. If eaten, it might control her and turn her into a puppet. A vision appeared of Ha-Da hugging her with a fake smile while she shyly said under the drug's effect, I'll do whatever you want." Amlu shook her head, determined not to eat it. But that's one thing to say, the alluring aroma of the roasted chicken kept tempting her. In the end, Amlu couldn't resist, took the chicken from Ha-Da and bit a big piece with a satisfied look. Ha-Da stood beside her, innocently asking, "Delicious?" Amlu was stunned, suddenly realizing her unconscious action. Her inner voice screamed, "Damn, it smelled so good I just couldn't resist." But the chicken's flavor was truly amazing, making her feel like she was in a dream. A strange power surged within her, making her feel both shy and dazed. It felt like her clothes were about to be torn apart. Amlu hugged herself tightly, amazed, thinking, what is this feeling? In an instant, she jumped from level 16 to level 21. Skills like backstab, shufu injection, and stealth jumped from level 1 to level 3. Her kidney strike skill rose straight to level 5. The power surging through her body made her face flush red with indescribable exhilaration. The system simultaneously announced her profession upgrade from novice assassin to assassin. Still dazed, Amlu stared at the roasted chicken in her hands, thinking, this roasted chicken not only helped me level up 5 times in a row, upgraded all my skills, but also advanced my profession. She sobered up, sweat beading with fear. Is this really roasted chicken? Clearly it's a super repair machine. Amlu glanced at Ha-Da standing there innocently with a clueless expression, making her ponder deeply. I am a professional assassin sworn to seek out the strongest players. Someone with this kind of power must be far stronger than that fool Tan Hao Nian, right? In her mind appeared a scale with 4 fools, Tan Hao Nian on one side and Ha-Da on the other. The scale tipped heavily towards Ha-Da, overwhelmingly stronger. The decision was clear. Amlu bowed deeply, showing sincerity, and said firmly to Hada, "Yes, from now on I am yours. You can have me do anything you want." The sudden action startled Hada, who asked confusedly, "Why all of a sudden?" From startled to fearful, his face turned pale as he thought, "She's supposed to be a cold assassin, yet she's repaying me because of a roasted chicken. What a bizarre hobby, it's too scary." At this moment, Hada foolishly just thought Amlu was some strange idiot. Hada returned to his calm state as before, leisurely taking a step with a faint smile on his lips. He turned to Amlu with a gentle teasing tone. "I don't want you to repay me. You just need to protect me. No bleeding means how can you protect me? Hurry and join the others." Amlu stood behind, momentarily stunned, eyes wide with a dumbfounded look. She muttered suspiciously, "Protect you." Hada turned sharply, his eyes sharp, looking straight at her with confident reply, "Exactly. After all, I am the boss who paid for this." Hearing that, Amlu paused as if he hadn't yet digested the information. His whole body went stiff like a statue. Hada kept walking ahead while Amlu silently trailed behind, his mind lost in thought. Suddenly her face lit up with a bright smile, her eyes sparkling with fascination. She shouted excitedly, "I understand now. I will protect you, Lord Hada." Around Amlu, the atmosphere seemed to be dyed in a dreamy pink hue. Glittering hearts flickered and floated in the air. But in another development, Tan Haonian suddenly launched a surprise attack on the giant mutated sewer rat. However, with a level difference of 6 ranks, his attack was barely a scratch. It only caused the monster to lose a mere 50 health points. Struck by the blow, the rat collapsed to the ground, its gray eyes showing despair. It trembled and growled in pain. "Yet I still care about Lord Demon King. I no longer deserve to live in this world." Without hesitation, it bit its own tongue to commit suicide, suffering a sudden loss of 6850 health points. Its death was like an apology, leaving behind a peaceful soul. Tan Haonian stood there watching the sewer rat's body slowly vanish, eyes full of doubt. Could one strike really defeat it? Luke Q, standing behind, also widened his eyes, amazed and unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Xiaoyan couldn't contain her excitement and cheered. He actually did it, surpassing 6 levels to kill an A-rank monster that's Tu Hao's true strength. She looked at Hao Nian with eyes full of admiration mixed with astonishment. But in reality, the monster had ended its own life. At that moment, golden rays suddenly flashed around Hao Nian's body. He reached out to feel it, and immediately the system notification appeared. Unlock title Peerless Strongman. Conditions surpass 5 levels and kill an elite monster. Do you agree to equip the legendary title Peerless Strongman? Hao Nian smiled brightly and without hesitation pressed confirm. Right after confirming, the title Peerless Strongman shone above Hao Nian's head like a radiant halo. Power surged through his body. Life increased by 3%, attack increased by 3%, defense increased by 3%. Hao Nian couldn't hide his excitement, his eyes shining brightly as he thought to himself, "Who would have thought I could get such an amazing surprise loot like this? Could it be that I am the protagonist awakening some super powerful special ability?" Xiaoyuan interrupted his fanciful thoughts. "That tone of certainty means it's probably impossible." She slipped, showing worry, her eyes scanning around as she whispered, "This place is too strange. I have a feeling of discomfort." Hao Nian was still immersed in the thrill of victory, scoffing teasingly. "Unfounded worries." He put his hands in his pockets, swaggering forward as he spoke. "You're already a peerless strong man. A man like you can kill even a level 22 elite monster with 1 hit. What is there to be afraid of?" Hao Nian turned back and glanced at Luke Ku and Xiaoyuan, trailing behind, waiting for their response. Suddenly, Xiaoyuan shouted in a trembling voice, "Shao Ha, look!" Hao Nian frowned as he looked at her, trembling, surprised, and asked, "Look at what? There's nothing here." But just as he finished speaking, he felt a chilling, cold air behind him. He looked up and was stunned. A giant orange cat with blazing red eyes and sharp teeth stained with fresh blood. Before he could react, it launched an attack that sent Hao Nian flying straight into the wall. A loud crash sounded as the wall shattered. Hao Nian lost half his health bar, lying in pain on the ground. He raised his head, voice trembling. "How could this be? It's a level 35 A-rank devil cat boss monster." Without giving them a moment to breathe, the cat activated a skill, creating a fierce gust of wind that swept toward the group. Hao Nian's small group couldn't resist getting blown away and slammed hard into the wall. Luke Q and Xiaoyuan, weaker than Hao Nian, lost more than half their health bars. At this moment, Xiaoyuan painfully analyzed. A level boss monster usually only appears in outdoor raids or in dungeons, right? Why is it here? Luke Koo, sweating, lightly guessed. After entering this building, I immediately felt something was wrong. Is it because this place has turned into a dungeon? Thinking about this made him even more tense. Tune Nguyen also panicked and pressed him with questions. So what should we do now? Hao Nian quickly used a novice health potion to restore 50 HP, his face serious. I will lure the monster, then everyone find a chance to retreat. But before he could finish, a giant cat paw appeared in front of him. The demon cat struck hard, sending Hao Nian flying hundreds of meters away. His health bar, just recovered, dropped to 0 again, blood flowing from his mouth. Hao Nian shouted angrily. Idiot support. Help me. Tiong Nguyen immediately activated her healing skill, restoring 144 HP to Hao Nian. At this point, he still hadn't touched the ground and hurriedly tried to adjust his posture to counterattack. But the demon cat wasn't about to let him succeed. In the blink of an eye, it appeared right in front of him, its blazing red eyes staring, the corners of its mouth curling in a mocking smile. Hao Nian was startled, his chest tightening as he couldn't guess the monster's intentions. The demon cat looked at Hao Nian like an interesting toy. Its red eyes gleamed with delight. It launched a combo attack, tossing him back and forth like a rolling ball. Though panicked, Tiong Nguyen kept activating support skills to continuously heal Hao Nian. His health dropped, then rose again, then dropped again, leaving his body exhausted, looking no different than a dried fish drained of energy. Despite being beaten to distortion, Hao Nian still forced himself to shout. As a peerless powerhouse, the demon cat's final strike was like a storm, slamming Hao Nian's face into the wall. He fell face first into the rubble, his face bruised and swollen with no fighting spirit left. Hao Nian breathed out, weakly exhausted. Tiong Nguyen, don't be stubborn anymore, just let me die. Luke Koo, who had been observing quietly, finally spoke in a pessimistic tone. We're doomed, the level 35 dungeon boss. Even 5 players of the same level might not win. Tiong Nguyen felt her heart tangled like a ball of yarn, turning anxiously to Luke Koo. Fine, let's quickly cover for Hao Nian and retreat. But when she looked back, she was stunned. Luke Koo had disappeared, standing hundreds of meters away without anyone noticing. Luke Koo forced a smile. Sorry to both of you. Our team was formed only to win, not for dying together. Tiong Nguyen, already panicked seeing her teammate run off, became even more confused. She muttered. Though it made sense, it was still terribly harsh. Behind, Hao Nian lay pretending to be dead, hoping to fool the monster. But with the demon cat's cunning, it immediately saw through it. It roared, face ferocious, raising its giant paw to throw the final blow. Just then a door burst open and Hada appeared. A deep, warm voice rang out. The fierce demon cat instantly shrank, turning into a small, cute orange cat. It meowed once and jumped into Hada's arms. Hada hugged it, his face bright. That's great, you're okay. The affectionate bond between owner and pet left Tiong Nguyen and Hao Nian frozen in place. Before nestling into Hada's arms, the demon cat didn't forget to shoot a warning glance at the two with cold eyes. Tiong Nguyen and Hao Nian's faces, drained of color, shocked into silence. Who would have thought the level 35 dungeon boss was Hada's pet? Scene change. Hada led the group inside the house. While he busily searched for food for the orange cat, Hao Nian's group huddled at the back, whispering, even though they had just gone through an unimaginable situation. Despite his serious injuries and needing Tiong Nguyen's support to walk, Hao Nian couldn't drop his nature. He smiled slyly, his eyes cunning as he looked toward Hada. Analyzing this guy looks like a weak little guy, but surprisingly he managed to tame the dungeon boss as a pet. But he surely has secrets on him far more valuable than you imagine. Letting him live means we can exploit all the benefits. Hao Nian turned to Am Lu with a teasing tone. You did well. Glancing at Luke Koo quietly walking behind, he continued. Unlike someone else, Am Lu, you're my most reliable teammate. Luke Koo understood Hao Nian was mocking her, but just pretended ignorance, whistling innocently. Hao Nian continued to turn to Am Lu with a mocking smile. Come here. I'll reward you with a hug from an ultimate powerhouse. But at this moment, Am Lu's face darkened, showing no joy at his words. She slowly stepped closer. Seeing this, Hao Nian smugly praised, Good girl, don't worry, as long as you keep following me, we'll still be the strongest team. But as soon as he finished speaking, Am Lu suddenly launched a fatal attack, slashing twice sharply into the stomachs of Hao Nian and Luke Koo. Both collapsed, blood gushing profusely from their wounds. Am Lu's cold eyes, sharp as knives, turned to look at them with contemptuous disdain. Daring to attack Master Hada, you truly deserve to die a terrible death. Hao Nian lay on the ground, clutching his stomach in pain, eyes filled with confusion. What are you doing? Am Lu grew angry, her expression even more hateful, yet he still dared to ask. She raised her dagger and stabbed repeatedly into both their stomachs. Hao Nian and Luk Q writhed in intense pain, blood spurting from Luk Q's mouth like a fountain. Slowly, Tiong Nguyen, standing behind, witnessed the scene and screamed in panic, "Captain Am Lu!" Finally stopping, her cold eyes, full of murderous intent, stared down at Hao Nian and Luk Q, speaking coldly. "You have no idea what kind of grudge you've earned against existence itself." At this moment, Ha Da, having just gotten the cat's food, stepped out in a relaxed tone. "I got the food, we can leave now." Seeing Ha Da, Am Lu immediately changed her attitude, her face becoming cute, eyes sparkling with curiosity as she looked at the cat on his shoulder. She asked, "Is this Ha Da?" Smiling, she introduced Bao Bao, the cat I raised before the world turned like this. I wasn't by its side, so now, no matter what, I have to find it. Bao Bao lay on Ha Da's shoulder, eyes proud like a superior glancing at Am Lu. She suddenly realized something and exclaimed, "So the real treasure is Bao Bao the cat." She meowed once as if confirming her thought. Am Lu immediately bowed low respectfully and said, "I understand from now on we are colleagues." Hearing Am Lu say, "colleague," and Bao Ha Da was stunned, then laughed teasingly. "If you're seriously dumb, you should get treatment. Anyway, let's head back to the city first." Taking a few steps, Ha Da suddenly stepped into a pool of blood. The sight of Hao Nian and Luk Q lying flat on the floor, blood spreading everywhere, their stomachs pierced with holes, hit him hard. Ha Da was stunned, unable to understand what happened, and exclaimed in panic, "What on earth happened?" Am Lu put on a guilty, pitiful expression and replied, "I saw they were gravely injured and beyond saving, so I wanted to help end their pain quickly." This statement shocked Ha Da, Luk Q, and Hao Nian deeply. Hao Nian angrily shouted, "They still have 2/3 of their blood left. How can they be gravely injured?" Am Lu coldly responded indifferently, "But now your intestines are hanging out." This made Hao Nian and Luk Q grind their teeth in anger and shout in unison, "You stabbed us and caused that." Am Lu pretended to be deaf with a sorrowful face. "Ah, too bad they can't be saved anymore." Hao Nian panicked and yelled, "They can still be saved!" But the situation at this moment was truly dire. Tiong Nguyen, standing beside them, shouted in panic, "They really can't hold on anymore! Losing too much blood really can't hold on!" Thanks to Tiong Nguyen's continuous support, Hao Nian and Luk Q managed to hold on until now. Their blood flow kept rising and falling without stopping. Ha Da was equally panicked, his voice trembling as he asked, "How can this be?" Meanwhile, Am Lu stood beside with a smirk on her lips, clearly enjoying herself. The dagger in her hand gleamed coldly. It had been coated with deadly poison beforehand. Hao Nian, having lost too much blood, looked pale and miserable. He sank into thought. "A level 22 elite can't kill me. The level 35 dungeon leader can't either. I'm ranked second on the human leaderboard, yet I'm being treacherously killed by a teammate like this." The image of Am Lu holding the dagger, her eyes full of murderous intent and disdain, along with the words, "You have no idea what kind of grudge you've earned against existence," flashed through his mind. Hao Nian closed his eyes and forced a bitter smile, silently thinking, "This is a life-threatening situation. One careless step and I've stepped on a landmine." At this point, all he could do was regret his ignorance. Hao Nian's spirit gave up, sinking deep into darkness, accepting the approaching death. Suddenly, Ha Da's voice rang out, cutting through the tension. "Maybe I can try." Everyone looked up at him with curious eyes. "Try what?" Ha Da calmly took a roll of gauze from his bag, emitting a faint purple light, his face brightening. "Maybe I can still save them." The gauze in Ha Da's hand was a rare level, a demon script bandage prop. To possess it, players must have first aid skill level 750. To possess it, players must reach first aid skill level 750. The whole group was stunned by the scene. Despite the pain, Hao Nian couldn't believe it, and muttered, "It's just cloth bandages, only high-level first aid skills can craft this." Luk Q beside him was equally moved, saying, "Moreover, these are the highest-grade demon script cloth bandages. First aid is the most costly production skill to level up. In the early stages, a first aid skill that transforms cloth into cloth bandages at a low level has a healing capacity equivalent to 5 first aid professions of the same level. Using maximum capacity, even the demon-patterned bandage can instantly heal a level 80 defense warrior. But because cloth is scarce early on, no one is willing to spend resources to level this skill, nor can anyone afford it." Yet Ha-Da kept a faint smile holding the roll of bandages and said, "Because I'm not good at anything to survive in this world, stopping bleeding is the most important. So I leveled up the first aid skill first." He looked down at Hao Nian and Luke Ku, who were barely breathing, and continued, "I didn't expect to use it now. It's really great." Hearing this, Hao Nian's pale face from blood loss turned even paler. He was silent, his mind in chaos, and casually thought that he could lend gold to turn the dungeon leader into a pet, and even possessed a Grandmaster-level first aid skill like this, yet he dared to have bad intentions. The more he thought, the more terrified Hao Nian became. Sweat poured down like a shower, his whole body felt weak and about to collapse. He silently thought that Ha-Da probably just saw him as a fool. Amlu was briefly surprised when Ha-Da intended to save the two, but then seemed to realize something. Her face lit up with excitement, eyes sparkling with anticipation. So that's how it is. Heal first, then kill next. No wonder Ha-Da is such a master with many tricks. Thinking this, Lu stood behind Ha-Da, looking at Hao Nian and Luke Ku with a sinister smile that sent chills down their spines, making them sweat profusely. That smile scared them so much they silently thought maybe it's better not to be saved. But Ha-Da cut off their thoughts abruptly. He rushed forward and sat in front of the two with a firm voice. "Use it quickly!" Hao Nian was stunned, moved to tears, stammering, "But that's the demon-patterned bandage. Do we deserve it?" "I haven't even finished explaining before." Ha-Da interrupted with a righteous expression. "Don't say such foolish things anymore. What's more precious in this world than human life?" Those words moved Hao Nian. Tears streamed down his face. He shouted, "Boss, from now on you are my reborn parent." But just after speaking, a system panel suddenly appeared. Hao Nian looked down curiously and saw the clear message that the other party requested a transaction with the friend. He was stunned and confused. Ha-Da explained, "I originally didn't want to charge, but since everyone insisted, I didn't refuse." Immediately after the system announcement rang out, Tan Hao Nian lost 12 gold, 52 silver remaining. Luke Q lost 82 silver remaining. Ha-Da received 13 gold, 34 silver. Hearing the announcement, Hao Nian and Luke Q were stunned, their hearts aching like a knife, their bodies frozen. Meanwhile, Ha-Da laughed brightly, his face even more enthusiastic. He acted straightforwardly, handing the bandage to the two, and said, "You two can rest assured I have collected the payment. I definitely won't let you die." The demon-patterned bandage was tossed out tightly, wrapping Hao Nian's body. Not only healing critical wounds, it also seemed to cleanse Hao Nian's dirty, twisted soul, making him feel a miraculous warmth as if granted angel wings to soar. Overwhelmed with emotion, he couldn't hold back tears. At that touching moment, the system notification appeared, reminding that the other party had taken all your money. The group widened their eyes reading the message, but no one cared at that moment. Hao Nian crushed the announcement panel shyly, saying, "That's our destiny." Suddenly, a brilliant light surrounded all three, Hao Nian, Luke Ku, and Tiong Nguyen. The three immediately gained 5 profession levels, upgrading from trainee to official. The sudden change stunned them. They couldn't believe it. Not only healed, but also upgraded their bodies and ranks, making them doubt life itself and think it impossible. It must be a repair machine disguised as demon-patterned bandages. In an instant, all three knelt before Ha-Da, performing the highest human salute to show respect. Hao Nian stood in the middle on behalf of everyone, shouting loudly, "Thank you, boss. From now on, you are my big brother." Hao Nian said, "I will face mountains of blades and seas of fire for you." Ha-Da smiled faintly, waving his hand. "No need. No need, it's just a life-saving favor. No need for grand ceremonies, just keep it in your heart." But then he smirked, holding up 2 fingers, and continued, "Each roll of the demon script cloth tape costs 30 gold. Remember to pay me the remaining amount with an interest rate of 35% per year as agreed." Lu stood behind, watching Ha-Da intently, then suddenly revealed an infatuated, passionate expression. She thought to herself, so that's how it is. Destroying them by lending at high interest rates, such a dirty trick can only be the real elder Ha-Da. He really knows how to play. When the group stepped out of the building, the system announced, "Your team has cleared the Laptin apartment dungeon and earned 50,000 experience points." Everyone was amazed, not expecting to achieve this accomplishment. Immediately after this game's World Channel announced Hao Nian, Luke Q, Tiong Nguyen, Amlu, and Ha-Da are the first and only team to clear the Laptin apartment dungeon. The news caused a stir among other players. Ha-Da was still dazed, his face blank, not understanding what was happening, then suddenly seemed to realize something. He trembled, voice tense. "What?" "The place we just entered is a copy dungeon." Hearing this, Hao Nian laughed heartily. "That's right. Exactly." Hao Nian's confirmation made Ha-Da almost faint. long panicked, wondering who he was and where he was. What did I just go through? He was scared, eyes hazy. Seeing that Hao Nian was briefly stunned, thinking, didn't he even bring the dungeon leader pet on his shoulder? On the other side, Roland was sipping coffee, busy working, when he read the announcement. He froze for a few seconds, disbelief on his face, thinking the Demon King actually cleared the dungeon in his own house in KMR University City. Everyone was excited and buzzing. They're back. They're back. As Hao Nian's group walked down the street, people around chatted excitedly. Someone exclaimed, "Oh my God, that's the first team to clear the copy dungeon." Another person couldn't believe it. They leveled up 10 times to beat the dungeon. The Hao Nian group used to praise just felt normal. Only Hada, experiencing this for the first time, shyly scratched his face and quickly explained, No, I'm just the owner." But the crowd still admired them, unable to believe they accomplished such an earth-shattering feat. In the crowd, someone recognized Tan Hao Nian, pointed and shouted, "That seems to be a professional gamer who has dominated countless games." The person next to him was amazed. No wonder. They noticed the Peerless Strongman title glittering above Hao Nian's head. Immediately they clamored, "Look, the Peerless Strongman title. No wonder he's the WCG champion. No wonder he cleared the dungeon." Hearing the praise, Hao Nian couldn't help but be proud, lifting his head to look at the title, brushing it off, saying, "Looks like you guys know a little something." He pointed at Hada proudly. "But clearing the dungeon wasn't just because of me. It was also thanks to my big brother, who is this very man." But before he could finish, a voice rang out from behind, "Congratulations to you all." The group suddenly stopped, turned around, wondering who it was. On closer look, it was Roland. Everyone was stunned and said in unison, "Roland." He looked like he had just rushed here, panting as if running out of air. Roland thought tiredly, "That was close. Almost let them reveal it. If the Demon King's disguise breaks, everyone here will be silenced forever." Once again, saving the world, truly impressive. Roland regained his composure, cleared his throat, and walked leisurely toward Hada's group. While walking, he said, "You players are extremely outstanding. On behalf of Thun Teen, I offer you my highest congratulations and honor." Hada saw Roland cheerful and greeted Big Brother Roland. Hao Nian, standing nearby, mumbled confusedly, "Why so loud?" The 4 Rolands did not respond. Pulling a rope, they dragged the Hao Nian group along in a grand tone. "Please, 4 warriors, follow me. I will personally award your medals." The 4 looked embarrassed. The surrounding crowd, eager to see what would happen, was equally surprised, whispering, "Why only 4? Hada was left behind." Seeing everyone puzzled, he quickly explained, "I'm the owner, so I'm not counted." He forced a smile, scratched his head. "That's normal." In a hidden corner, Roland suddenly punched the wall. His face was fierce, but still maintained a friendly look as he spoke to Hao Nian. "So many like this want to die all at once." Hao Nian was pressed against the wall, face pale and scared, never expecting that humanity's hope would have such a personality. Then Roland turned back to look at the group of Luke Ku behind him, his voice serious. "In short, that person's identity is not simple." Everyone was stunned. Luke Ku spoke up on behalf of the group, but before he finished, Roland interrupted and asked, "Do you know why he doesn't display rank or profession?" Luke Ku looked at Roland suspiciously. "Could it be that he's hiding it?" Roland cleared his throat and answered seriously, "No, it's because he has none. He's basically not a player." This statement shocked the whole group, and they all shouted in unison, "What?" Hao Nian, incredulous, "Not a player." Luke Ku continued, "Then what is he?" Amlu overheard the 2 whispering and muttered 2 words, "Demon." Everyone was startled and turned to look at her in unison. She said, "What, Amlu?" Showing excitement with a sinister look, she added, "Moreover, possessing such a defiant power surely means he's a high-level demon." Roland was a bit surprised at her sharpness. He thought silently that he didn't expect this quiet young woman to be so clever. He smiled lightly with satisfaction and then spoke, "You guessed right, but he's terrifying many times more than a normal high-level demon. But his true identity is—" Roland paused, then loudly declared, "The Demon King." Hao Nian, Luke Ku, and Tiongwin couldn't believe it and shouted in unison, "What?" Only Amlu remained calm and said with interest, "That makes perfect sense." Roland stood among the group and continued in a low voice, "He pretends to be a weak noob to prevent something terrible from happening. We have to cooperate with him. If we try to expose or anger him, it could lead to the destruction of the world." These words brought the image of Hada to everyone's mind with his cruel, cold smile declaring, If you guys find out, then I'll reveal my hand too. Roland turned to Hao Nian seriously. The four of you currently hold 4 ranks on the leaderboard just like me. Yes, you all will be humanity's hope. Hao Nian frowned suspiciously. So what then? Roland reached out his hand towards them with a smile. Let's cooperate and wait for the chance to kill him. Hao Nian looked at the hand thoughtfully, then happily grabbed it. Excited. Victory will definitely be ours. Seeing things going smoothly, Roland turned and left, laughing loudly. Then happy cooperation. But after a few steps, he turned back with a steel tone. Let's protect the truth together. Protect the world. Then he left for good. Luke Q sighed with a complicated look. Knowing how formidable he is, but never expected it to be like this. She turned to Hao Nian suspiciously. Captain, do you really want to cooperate against Hada? Hao Nian smiled mockingly. Of course it's fake. Just tricking that NPC. He recalled Hada's cool demeanor and continued, as a professional, I understand the situation in this world well. No one can defeat him, so why should I seek death and become his enemy? Hao Nian glanced at Luke Ku sarcastically. People who decisively betray me when in danger shouldn't be talking about wanting to be righteous partners right now. Luke Ku didn't argue, closing her eyes, her voice steady. Indeed, our only goal is victory. Hao Nian turned to the other two and asked, What about you two? Amlu looked disdainfully at Hao Nian coldly. If you really want to be Hada's dogs, then continue to form a team, it's fine. The word dogs cut through Hao Nian's heart like a knife, causing him to spit saliva in shock. He recalled how Amlu used to be obedient and loyal. Compared to Amlu now, it made him question life. Hao Nian, angry, gritted his teeth and warned, Amlu, if you sneak attack your teammates again, I'll fight back. Amlu coldly replied with contempt in her eyes, Noted. But Tianguyen, who had been silent and timid, spoke up. And you haven't finished speaking yet. Hao Nian cheerfully cut in. Looks like everyone has reached an agreement. Tianguyen choked up, crying without tears. Hao Nian stood tall, proud, and looked ahead, declaring, Then let's all become villains. From then on, the first human team joined the Demon King's battle formation, born in the city's safe zone at the management headquarters. A gentlemanly man with his hands in his pockets looked out over the cityscape. He turned to ask the young man behind him, I heard a team of players has passed the apartment star-setting dungeon already. Yes, the young man nodded. That's right. Humans are very resilient. They always push past limits and achieve unexpected results. The man called the general smiled with satisfaction and admiration. Excellent. Good. It seems the day we defeat the Demon King is near. He turned and asked, Has Roland returned yet? The young man replied, Yes, General. There's good news and bad news. The general frowned and said, Good news first. The young man reported, Lord Roland has returned. The general was excited. Then the mission to kill the Demon King must have been successfully completed. But before he could rejoice, the young man continued, The bad news is Lord Roland also brought the Demon King back. The general was stunned, eyes wide, tears about to fall, speechless. Brought him back for what? Wants to play some cultivation stimulation or what? The young man nervously wiped sweat and replied, Lord Roland conveyed that when the Demon King was born, it was nothing like the prophecy said. A newborn baby in a cradle, but already fully grown. The general was astonished. Fully grown. The young man nodded. Lord Roland will personally report the specific situation to you and the superiors. Please come to the communication room, General. Lord Roland is on his way. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed through the hall. Roland appeared looking rushed, walking quickly toward the meeting room. Around him were lively greetings to Lord Roland, mixed with admiring whispers full of awe for him. In the meeting room, an officer stepped forward to report to Roland, Lord Roland, the communication setup is ready. Roland turned back, smiling politely. Thanks for your trouble. If you have any other instructions, just let me know. The officer nodded and left. As soon as the door closed, Roland's expression immediately changed to serious. In front of him, numerous large and small screens appeared. The official meeting began. A superior spoke urgently. You're here. Roland said, What exactly is going on with the Demon King? Roland replied firmly, He's a danger far greater than we imagined. He pointed at the screen showing the ice silk gang tower bent into a heart shape. Roland continued. He can bend the Ice Silk gang without lifting a finger. But the superiors were shocked and murmured, even the divine weapon system can't restrain him. He has such overwhelming power. One person asked, then why hasn't he destroyed the Ice Silk gang completely? Another speculated, probably just to show his strength to us. What's his purpose? Then Roland recalled the subordinate's actions and slowly said, from my observation, he is forcing me to accept his joining the human race. When I showed compromise, he didn't launch any further attacks. The superiors murmured, joining the human race. What's the purpose? These puzzling questions made Roland frown. A superior spoke to calm the crowd. Stop asking. Even if we ask more, we won't know how to answer. Another agreed. Exactly. How can we guess a demon creature's thoughts? Roland raised his voice, eyes sharp. I declare I have figured out his true purpose. The previously anonymous screens marked with question marks instantly showed surprised icons. The whole group eagerly said, oh really? No wonder Roland, the brave one, humanity's hope. Never thought your intellect was that sharp. Someone urged, tell us quickly, what is his purpose? Roland stood in the center, declared, his purpose in infiltrating human society as a player is this. He paused, looking extremely serious, then shouted, to dismantle human political systems and alliance relationships. This way, humanity can be completely destroyed without any effort. Hearing this, the superiors were shocked and said in unison, what? Is it really like that? Makes perfect sense. To keep them from freaking out, Roland continued. When I met him today, he was assimilating the most promising player team we have. A superior urgently asked, has he already acted? Such terrifying execution and speed. Roland seized the chance to reply, luckily I caught up in time to successfully block his plan and establish a cooperative relationship with that team. The superiors collectively praised, no wonder you're Roland, humanity's hope. Before someone could finish asking, Roland anticipated the question and added, yes, he is building credibility through the apartment star dungeon, confusing people. Then Roland began explaining. Currently, this world has two types of monsters. One type is mutated monsters from native Earth flora and fauna affected by the evil power awakened by the Demon King, like mutant sewer rats. The other type is the demon race from Destiny Planet, the true enemies of the world, minions of the apocalyptic Demon King. The Demon King leads the demon race with the intention to destroy the world, once defeated by the human player pretending to be Dung's leader. That is the main storyline of Destiny Planet. The power gap between the demon clan and mutant monsters is like heaven and earth, but only the most elite and powerful are called leader level. The final boss of the dungeon is the leader level. So the dungeon is essentially a stronghold built by the Demon King's army on Earth. Roland's words angered the superiors who shouted, they won't even let go of the dungeon to achieve their goal. The evil ones are truly too wicked. During the argument, a superior whispered, I think it's possible this Demon King has really lost his memory. He might not know his true identity. This made everyone turn their eyes and ask in unison, what did you say? They strongly objected, absolutely impossible. Are you trying to say that twisting Bangto Gang, assimilating humanity's top team through his own dungeon, is all just a coincidence? Roland sneered, how adorably naive. The two superiors quickly retracted. Sorry, let's pretend I didn't say anything. Roland's expression darkened as he said, in short, we still don't have the ability to confront him. We can only wait for you all to arrive on Earth one by one, and for more human players to level up before we find a chance to kill him. Until then, I will be responsible for keeping him stable. The meeting reached its final decision. Then we rely on you, Roland. This is the only way. Someone agreed. Exactly, for now, we can only monitor him. Roland, you must protect humanity's future. Stepping out of the meeting room, a huge responsibility weighed on Roland's shoulders. Meanwhile, Hada happily fell onto a soft mattress, enjoying comfort that brought no troubles from outside. Hada lay long on the bed, holding a stack of money, thinking, indeed, the world's original currency is now just worthless paper. In the apocalypse, the rarest resource is the safe zone. I'm really smart. While house prices are low, I'll buy one in the safe zone's center. But it wasn't cheap. The house Hada owned was actually the old KMR administrative building, a high-grade building costing 679 gold, 99 silver, 99 copper. Now he only had exactly 0 gold, 23 silver, and 1 copper left in his pocket. In the middle of the vast room, Hada could only afford a single bed placed on the floor. He muttered, "At least basic living conditions are guaranteed. But I can't just sit idle. I'll save money and wait for house prices to rise." As a weak player without combat ability to participate in the game, he had to think of ways to earn more money. Thinking that, Hada jumped up and opened his inventory, which was full of grilled chicken demon rune bandages and a Belio egg. He hesitated, stroking his chin, considering this situation option A, earn money by crafting production skills through labor. Option B, collect props to sell through production and collection skills. Option C, sell existing results to get money. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration struck Hada. He smiled brightly, holding up the Belio egg, and shouted, "Sell this first, then think about the rest." He held the egg and mumbled while walking, "Hey, the horn and that outfit both sell for good prices. I wonder how much this will fetch." A smile appeared clearly on Hada's face, but suddenly he slipped. The egg flew out of his hands, flew up, and then smashed hard on the ground. Hada fell forward, panicked, shouting, "The egg cracked. If it's cracked, won't it lose value?" He was so regretful that tears and snot nearly poured out, but in adversity comes ingenuity. Hada quickly took demon rune bandages to wrap the egg, hoping to save it. He stood before the egg, clasped his hands, and prayed, "Please don't crack any further. Please, I'll bring it to sell tomorrow." After that, Hada planned to order food, take a shower, then sleep. The sound of water splashing suddenly stopped. Looking up, the Belio egg suddenly shook violently. From within the dim purple light, a small figure gradually appeared. Little legs appeared, then a familiar figure emerged. Belio had been resurrected and just came back to life. Belio babbled, "I am the great demon, Belio, one of the 7 heavenly kings under Demon King Belio. Unexpectedly, I came out of the egg with a bad start, but it's okay. The great Demon King will destroy the world that is fate." Belio smiled wickedly, lost in thought. "Great Demon King, please wait a moment. Belio will come to save you." But his thought was interrupted by a noise. Belio turned and saw the giant Bao, with sharp eyes standing tall behind him. The scene made Belio, who had just been resurrected, instantly turn to stone, her entire body stiffening. Then Belio regained her composure, lifted her head to look at Bao and exclaimed, "Bao, why are you here?" Bao, with a cold expression, asked back, "How do you know me?" Belio stammered with a trembling voice, I've met you in a dream. I have been in a deep sleep for a long time, always dreaming of a prophecy that said the 2 worlds would merge. The Demon King will lead an army to destroy humanity. In the dream, you were the closest to the Demon King, the great lord and supreme demon ruling all the fierce beasts." Hearing Belio, Bao slightly curled her lips, her eyes flashing with interest. "That's somewhat interesting." Belio anxiously continued, "The being in the dream also showed me the exact location where the Demon King would descend. So after awakening, I have been waiting to welcome him. I've been avoiding the pursuit of Thantine, Kong, and Roland all this time." She recalled the past, hiding, scavenging for rotten apples to recover 3% of her health, then continuing on. "I persevered until the end, but I didn't expect the place where the Demon King was born to be ambushed by Roland." Bao, hurry. We have to save the Demon King." Seeing Belio agitated, Bao gently replied, "That's no longer necessary." Belio was bewildered, not understanding why. Bao patiently explained, "He's no longer at the initial rank nor in a newborn state. He no longer needs our protection. So independent that he doesn't even need a maid to bathe him. That's really impressive." Bao's face turned serious, her gaze sharp and cold. "His current rank is at least 4 digits long." Belio was stunned, yelling, "What 4 digits?" Bao calmly licked her hand and replied, "Exactly how many I don't know. In short, don't overthink it or you'll just cause confusion." Belio hesitated and asked, "Then what state are you in now?" Bao glanced at her with half-lidded eyes, speaking indifferently. "This rank of mine is obviously just a disguise. The Demon King has established a bond with me. Rank no longer matters." Belio broke out in cold sweat, unable to believe it. "A bond? You mean you can directly borrow the Demon King's power?" Bao recalled old memories and patiently explained, "Exactly. His power flows within me as a part of himself. Rank is just a shell to fool others." Bao smirked casually. "When the Demon King found me, I was only level 35. But we've been together for many years. Our relationship is much closer than you all. It's understandable that he values me." Bao's obvious words made Belio sigh in admiration, her eyes sparkling with true admiration. "I have to try hard so that one day I can establish a deep bond with the Demon King, too." Bao Bao cut off Belio's thoughts seriously. There's one more very important thing I have to tell you. Belio looked up curiously. What is it? Bao Bao smirked slyly. Our master led us to sneak into the human world. We're now acting as moles. Belio was stunned, muttering moles. She rubbed her chin thoughtfully. So you're secretly infiltrating human society, destroying political systems and alliances from within without lifting a finger to defeat humanity. So that's the plan. Bao Bao licked her hand and shook her head. Don't guess wildly. His goal is not simply to destroy the world. Hearing that Belio's passion surged, she was excited. No wonder the Demon King, clearly powerful enough to dominate the world, yet chooses to enjoy a refined, leisurely life. Truly admirable. Belio's enthusiasm left Bao Bao speechless. She just shuts down her brain and doesn't listen to others. So annoying. Bao Bao licked her hand calmly. In short, we have to cooperate with him, disguise ourselves as clueless rookies, and absolutely must not expose or ruin his plan. Belio nodded firmly, full of confidence. Don't worry, acting is my thing. Whether wife or maid, I'm ready. Her enthusiasm made Bao Bao feel disgusted and speechless. Looking at her, I can't say more. Though you don't seem very smart, if the master specially saved you from humans, there must be a deep plan. Belio was speaking from afar. Hada's voice reached Bao Bao. The bathroom door swung open. Hada stepped out, wiping his wet hair, seemingly hearing the conversation, his curious eyes looking around. Hada stared wide-eyed at Bao Bao and Belio on the table. Suddenly he exclaimed, "What is this?" Suddenly a strange creature appeared beside Bao Bao. Contrary to his surprise, Belio shyly whispered in a soft voice, "Master, I'm back." But Hada paid no attention, his eyes fixed on Belio, murmuring, "Is this how the egg hatches?" Then he picked up Belio, poking and examining, muttering, "This size character setting like this, it can even move and talk. Isn't this worth selling for a high price?" Thinking of that, Hada was so delighted his nose seemed to steam. After a while, Belio tried to explain everything. Hada nodded as if understanding. "So that's it, your little pet whose outdoor leader exploded." Belio politely replied, "Yes, that's right." Hada exclaimed, eyes shining brightly. "How interesting!" Belio felt a bit embarrassed, thinking, "Oh my God, standing in front of the great demon lord dressed like this, how embarrassing." She stammered, asking her master, "Is this mine?" Hada replied calmly, I already sold that." Belio was stunned, asking again, "So my two horns symbolize the noble status of a demon?" Hada awkwardly scratched his head. "Sorry, that also." Hearing this, Belio's mind spun. She thought, "So either way, I'm going to be sold." She recalled Bao Bao's words, her master, treatment from humans must have deep intentions. Tears welled up in Belio's eyes, full of sorrow. So the great demon lord's purpose in saving me was just for money. And now he even wants to sell me to humans. She tried to hold back her pain, her body trembling, but Belio's sorrow suddenly switched to excitement. She imagined that because of the great demon lord, she must obey lowly humans, be ordered around and beaten, but as long as it's for him, she wouldn't hesitate to sacrifice her life. Oh, my soul is truly selfless. Then she thought, but is the great demon lord that short on money? It's not easy being by his side. If I get sold, how can I protect him? After thinking for a while, Belio spoke up. "Master, if you're after money, I have another way." Hada was curious. Another way? Suddenly Belio flew up and emitted a brilliant light, startling Hada. "What is this?" Just then, Chia, the food delivery guy, walked in, the boss of Hada's orders. But what he saw was Belio pinning Hada on the bed, surrounded by a beautiful purple light with professional skill and a thumbs up. The boss is really amazing. Quickly putting down the food, he said, "I'll leave this here for you." Then he left the village. Hada raised his hand awkwardly, trying to explain his eyes, briefly embarrassed. "No, it's not what you think." But the other just shrugged helplessly, so Hada gave up on explaining. Turning to Belio, Hada frowned and asked, "Tell me, what's this way of making money you mentioned?" Belio immediately lit up, her eyes sparkling as if she had been waiting for this moment for a long time, happily ready to show off, "Master, please watch my special ability." Hada was momentarily stunned, his mind hazy, special ability. While he was still thinking, Belio clasped her hands. Her body slightly trembling as if gathering strength, she shouted, "It's coming out!" Then a golden ah sound echoed. Immediately, a magnificent pair of horns appeared on Belio's head. She smiled proudly. "My demon horns have grown back." Without keeping Hada waiting, Belio decisively broke the horns off and respectfully offered them to him. "Please accept them." "Master, please sell these." Hada was stunned by the scene, mouth agape. his mind spinning. Horns. He trembled, thinking, so the horns are to dispel my confusion. Bellio continued excitedly, these grow every day, so cut them once a day. After speaking, she suddenly switched to a pitiful tone, her eyes glistening. Master, please don't sell me. Ha-Da laughed gently, patting Bellio's shoulder, eyes full of confident charm like a clueless CEO. How could I sell you? Thus, Bellio officially earned the position of the female lead in this story. Each pair of horns sells for 354 gold and 98 silver every day. Generally, Ha-Da's conscience didn't easily stir only because the horn's value was too high. From then on, besides the number one beast, Bao Bao consuming 350 grams of raw meat and bones daily at a cost of 2 silver, 13 copper. The team also welcomed the number 2 beast, Bellio. Bellio consumes 3 roasted chickens every day, costing 36 silver and 24 copper coins. However, when in mini form, she only needs 3 cookies, costing just 6 copper coins. So from now on, unless she needs to cut horns, Bellio will stay in mini form to save costs. Suddenly, Bellio lifted her head, her eyes shining brightly as she asked, Ha-Da master, what's our next plan? Ha-Da was stunned and repeated next plan. Bao Bao beside him was startled, thinking stupid. Asking directly like that is basically exposing the master's disguise. But Ha-Da still replied innocently with a carefree expression. The usual gameplay is leveling up and challenging dungeons, but our situation is special, we just need to survive. Hearing Ha-Da's answer, Bao Bao couldn't help but admire him, thinking, no wonder he's the master. His role-playing is amazing, and he even gave a perfect answer. Bellio was extremely excited, nodding. I understand it's basically a wait-and-see strategy. Ha-Da paused, scratched his head with a slightly puzzled look. Seems correct, but that way of putting it sounds a bit strange. He smiled in response, and Bellio explained that's true, but at the same time, we need to accumulate enough wealth to have a chance to buy a duplicate seat when challenging the final dungeon. Da activated the system screen, his eyes scanning the numbers, his voice steady. My plan is to buy raw materials from merchants, process them, then sell to earn crafting fees. But everything is unsold, and the profit from selling is too low. The screen displayed a list of props with sky-high prices, explaining right away why the goods aren't selling. Ha-Da still gave a faint smile, that's why you're very important to me. Bellio's heart stirred at his words, her eyes lighting up with joy. My master will definitely try his best. But from Ha-Da's perspective, Bellio was nothing more than a money-making tree.